The season for the Blues and Logan hasn't started the way we want it to, and I think it's important for him to go down and play, a number of games to get his game back in order and to unlock his mind. Right now, he's playing like he's locked up a little bit, where he's playing not to make a mistake, and that you can't play in the NHL at that level. When we talked earlier in the year, we thought we were hoping it was going to go smoothly. It hasn't gone smoothly for him. It hasn't gone smoothly for us. And I've said to you guys before that sometimes organizations fail players and players fail organizations. What we don't want to do is fail him. At the start of the year, we weren't playing well, and he was partnered with another young player. Probably didn't give him the best opportunity, and so it's time for a reset.
That is what it sounded like on Saturday night as Doug Armstrong spoke with the media about the decision to send Logan Mizzou down to the AHL. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It is 11:02. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Alex, we'll get to the game from Saturday, but that almost felt secondary to the news that we saw where, hey man, Logan Mizzou going down to the AHL. We all wondered if maybe we could get here eventually. I didn't think that it was going to happen this quickly. I also agree with the decision, Alex. This is not a team right now that is in position to be able to drag a young player along. They need guys that are capable of playing at the NHL level, and he just doesn't appear to be ready for that right now. That doesn't mean that he never will be ready. We talked about this during our pre-show conversation today, and I went back and looked at, now, it's not the same prospect pedigree, but a guy like Nico Mikkola, who has become a legit top four defenseman for an NHL Stanley Cup contender. It took until he was like 27 to become that. We're talking about a guy in Logan Mizzou who is 22 years old right now. It is going to take some time. It would not be a surprise to anybody if this guy becomes a top four defenseman by the time he's 25 or 26, and it took more development at the NHL and AHL level before he was able to get there. So I'm not freaking out about this. I do think that this was always a trade that was about the future, not the now. I know some disagree with that. I think that this is a very clear indication that it was about the future and not the here and now. And they couldn't continue to go down the same path that they were. This guy's minus 12 in 9 games this year, Alex. He is playing 12 minutes a night, and he is a minus 12. That's really hard to do unless you are truly, really bad while you are on the ice. It seems as though he has lost all confidence. I agree with the decision. I was a bit surprised by it, though. What was your reaction when you saw the news this weekend?
I don't like the decision, but I understand the decision. I said this on the Last Minute Blues podcast. I've been pretty adamant on this show. I think the best thing that can serve Logan Mizzou is to just play hockey at the NHL level. The problem is, and why they got to this decision, he can't even do that right now. He's just got the yips every time he steps onto the ice. You can tell. And to me, I think the piece that broke the front office that said we got to send him to the AHL was that game against, I think it was Columbus, where it was hand passed up for an odd man rush. He moved it with his hand, which killed the play, and then they scored the goal. If he just wouldn't have touched it, call would have been negated and the goal would have never happened. That to me was the moment that the front office was like, okay, this kid's in his own head right now. He can't even go out and play hockey. And I think Doug Armstrong talked about how it's like, look, we just want him to go down there and get his confidence back. Because right now when he steps onto the ice, he's overthinking every single scenario he's out there. He doesn't want to make a mistake, which means he's not playing physical because he's taking penalties at the worst time. He's not trying to get into the offense, which is part of the reason why they traded for this guy. It wasn't about his defensive play. It's about how much he could produce offensively. He's not even doing that. So you just need him, and as Doug said, a full reset. Why I don't like the decision is because he's done everything he needs to do in the AHL. I mean, last year he played 63 games and had 33 points.
What was his plus minus?
+5. But again, the idea on Logan Mizzou, or the prospect report on Logan Mizzou, is he's not great defensively, he's awesome offensively. And you hope to work on it. Now, the problem is you just can't work on it right now. And some of this is just where they're at, because as Doug mentioned, we've got 2 young guys playing that third pair, and when we try and play a veteran with them, it breaks the whole team down. They're trying to point the ship in the right direction. They can't do it with Logan Mailloux for him and for the team's sake. So go to the AHL. He's going to probably play in that top pair with Theo Lindstein. Go out there, gain your confidence back. My guess is you'll probably see him back in a couple of weeks once he plays a few games.
From the 573, BK, all of those minus 12 numbers are not on him, though. Absolutely. It's not all on Logan Mailloux. It's not. This team is bad even without him on the ice. Like, they're losing whether he's playing or not, but the margins seem to be a little more in their favor when he's not on the ice this year. He makes mistakes that are hard for everybody else to be able to overcome. Now, some of the other guys, they're not clearing the net enough. I mean, even in this game against Seattle over the weekend, we'll get into it, I promise, Alex. They should have won that game. But how many opportunities are you going to have to clear the puck before you end up actually clearing it without icing the puck? Like, they've got a lot of problems on this team right now. The goaltending was not good enough early on in the season. The forwards have not been converting on their opportunities. They're not finishing well enough. They just healthy scratched one of their best players, in my opinion, the other night because he wasn't giving the effort that they felt like they needed to see. So this team has a million different problems with it right now. When you have all of those issues and you're trying to develop a player at the NHL level, it became clear this is not a situation that is comfortable for a young player to be in because they feel like any of their mistakes are going to end up in their own net. And so you almost try to play too perfect or you freak out when a decision is made. So, yeah, it was time, in my opinion, for Logan Mailloux to go down, get his head right. I bet you he's back up at some point within, like, the next month.
Before Thanksgiving.
Do you think 2 weeks?
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be very long.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was going to say before
the next month.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe that's a little too aggressive on my part, but
that's
it's
like 2 weeks from.
I don't think it's going to take until Christmas to get him back. I think this is just a matter. I mean, look, when you go to the AHL, you play a lot of games in a little amount of time. Like they'll play Friday, Saturday. They play a random Wednesday afternoon game. He's going to play a lot of games in a small amount of time.
He should.
My guess is it's going to be like 24 minutes a night. It's going to be out there almost every single shift. I don't think this is something that they're just going to let him go down there and marinate for 40 games. I think this might be like 5 or 6 games for him to go and play.
I would also say this. If he is down there for 40 games, so what?
Oh, yeah.
That's fine. Like, I think people got a little out over their skis on what this trade was going to mean for 2025 because of what we saw from Broberg last year. I think it completely skewed our expectations on young defensemen at the NHL level.
Well, and Broberg is just such a special case. 1, he was an 8th overall pick. 2, when he was 18 and 19 years old, he was playing in the top league over in Sweden. And then on top of it, he spent about 3 years in the Oilers organization, who was a winning team. He was working with the Hall of Fame defensive mind in Paul Coffey. Like, all of these things, Broberg was advanced before we're even talking about where Logan Mailloux is.
And it worked. It worked. Like, everything came together with the Blues. He's an awesome defenseman. Like, he's already right now you could put him on a championship caliber team. He could be a top 4 defenseman for them. That's how good Philip Broberg is at his young age. And so I think some looked at that and said, oh, well, you just do the same thing with Logan Mailloux. This is another former first-round pick. He's been at the AHL level. He's gone through his development curve. It didn't work elsewhere, just like it didn't work with Broberg in Edmonton. Now, I think that's a little overstated. I think they just didn't use him because it clearly worked for him in the playoffs, but whatever, neither here nor there. It's going to work the same way. Army did it again, right? He found another defenseman that another team didn't want. It doesn't typically work that way. So I'm not worried about Logan Mailloux long term. It might not work, but this is not something to me that is overly concerning.
Yeah, and I truly think what this is also is like the Blues are just trying to get their top guys figured out right now. Like there's a lot of instability when you're playing Fowler with Mailloux and Fowler's searching for his game, and you're playing Tucker with Falk and Falk is searching for his game. This isn't just on Mailloux, it's on the team and just trying to settle it down. Like I know they called up Hunter Skinner. I don't expect Hunter Skinner to play much because they're just going to let Matt Kessel play. They're saying, look, Matt Kessel Kyrou's fine. He's played well for us. You don't notice him on the ice very often. That's what we need. Go out there and play. Let everybody else figure out their game, just like they did with Neighbors. You didn't want Neighbors to be a part of a bad team. Go down to the AHL and dominate. We're going to figure out our own ish, and when we call you back up, we're going to put you in a position to succeed.
From the 636, BK, let's talk about the blown call from Toronto. All right, Alex, I'm going to let you cook.
I don't even know what the NHL.
You want the music bed down?
No, you don't need to put the bed down on this one.
Let me set this up real quick for anybody that did miss it over the weekend. Our boss came in and said he was very upset about the call and the loss that took place on Saturday. Blues went into the final minute of regulation up by a score of 3-2. Had multiple opportunities to clear the puck and also to score on an empty net.
I don't like how you set that one up.
They did not do so, and then were stuck in their own end, and there was a goal that went in against Joel Hofer. There was a review that was initiated from the NHL offices for a potential goalie interference call. The Blues were certain that it was a goalie interference. I think everybody at home was certain that it was goalie interference.
My wife, who doesn't know hockey, was certain it was goalie interference.
They called good goal. And so the Blues go to overtime. They lose 4-3. And instead of getting 2 points, they get 1 point and get the loss in overtime. Alex, what was your reaction to that, in my opinion, blown call as it was happening?
That the NHL doesn't know their own rules. That was my reaction. That was an embarrassment for the National Hockey League to say that that was goalie interference. Let me take you back in the way back train here. Let's go back, Wayne's World style. On October 30th, go back and watch the clip. I put it up on Twitter against the Vancouver Canucks. Mackenzie McEachran is standing not even in the paint. He's in front of the goalie. And he puts his stick on Binnington's, and goal goes in. Evander Kane. Remember, we were like, oh, they lost the game. And they call it goalie interference. That call that was goalie interference wasn't even goalie interference, but the league's like, oh, well, he interfered with the goalie. Couldn't make the save, so we're going to have to take the goal away. And then we're going to fast forward to Saturday when he literally, his foot is in the blue paint. He is standing in the paint. His foot, not his stick, his foot swipes at Joel Hofer's stick, and the puck goes top shelf. And then the officials, Strickland tweeted this one out. Oh, the officials were texting me that, well, they saw on the ice that he didn't have a chance to make that save. First of all, it's not your damn job. That's why you called Toronto. What did Toronto say? A little conspiracy theory for you. But on top of that crap, how are we just going to act as if, well, the goalie couldn't make that save, so it's going to go in? He wasn't impeded with. He could make the save. How? His stick was caught up in Everly's skate. How is he going to make that save? The dude is 6'6". If he would have stood up, he could have caught it, but he was tied to the ice. That is a trash call that impacted the game with 0.5 seconds. Right there, the NHL needs to go into one of their owner meetings or GM meetings and say, guys, we can't keep up with this trash. What is goalie interference? Because the rule, in the rule book, BK, read it. Read the rule book.
I actually did on Saturday because I was confused by how that didn't meet the criteria, and then I became more confused as I read what appeared to be like a teaching tape on what happened for that to be goalie interference.
They probably should put those officials in there. But let me pull up the rule book in case you can't see it. Contact inside the goal crease. If an attacking player initiates contact with a goalkeeper, incidental or otherwise, while the goalkeeper is in his goal crease and a goal is scored, the goal will be disallowed. Refer to Rule 69.7 for an exception. There was no exception. His skate hit the stick. The puck went in. It should not have counted. The Blues should have skated out of there with the victory, and we should have been talking about 4 wins in 5 straight games. But instead, they took it away. They broke a team that was already lacking confidence and acted as if, oh, well, we didn't think he could make the save, so it counted.
It would have only been their 3rd win in their last 4.
I'm sorry, 4.
He was so fired up.
I was cooking 4 good games
4
in
5
straight,
which I'm not even sure I've ever heard someone say before.
They do have a point now in 4 of their last 6.
Look, with all of what I just rambled on about, also should have scored the empty net goal like 2 times.
Yeah, they screwed up. Talking about Toronto, they screwed up. They got the call wrong. I don't see any scenario in which that wasn't goalie interference. It was. The Blues had every opportunity to finish that game.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
Yeah.
And sometimes, this is going back to our conversation that we said earlier in the season, you have to create your own luck. If you leave it open to where you don't finish the game yourself, it sucks. They should have gotten it right. Like, this is not to absolve them of any of the blame. But if you're not able to capitalize on your opportunities, just like they didn't in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup playoff last year against the Winnipeg Jets, this was a complete repeat of that, where they had every chance possible to clear the puck, to get it out of their own zone, to go score on the empty net, and instead, they failed to do so. And it happened again on Saturday.
Yeah.
So it was
the amount of people that keep sending me messages saying, move on, you move on. Pisses me off.
Coming up in about 15 minutes, we'll get into our NFL quick hitters. At 11:45, we'll get to questions and answers. 314-399-9646. That's the Your Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. You can also check us out on YouTube. That is where a bunch of people are doing so right now. YouTube.com/101ESPN-STL. We've got iRock. We've got Dr. Xander. We've got Saint Lunatic, rather. We've got Gateway Sports over there. A bunch of people hanging out, talking it all over in the YouTube chat today. You can join them at youtube.com/101ESPN-STL. Coming up next, Mizzou performed basically exactly as I expected. And Alex, somehow I still left the game disappointed. We'll explain next here on 101 ESPN.
Alex Ferrario here for Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, the real deal for real deals since 1976. Make sure you let the Dobbs team of 600-plus tire technicians and auto service associates care for your family's vehicles. Whatever you drive, gas, hybrid, or whatever, locations all over town, they'll help you choose the tires that you need, already sold at the lowest price in town, guaranteed. Quality name brand tires that will definitely suit your vehicle and will suit your family budget. So check it out at Dobbs. Money saver deals on new tires at gotodobbs.com, and the Dobbs team is ready to service your vehicle, including routine and preventative maintenance. And the most locations around, including their newest store in Washington and Warrenton, Missouri, with a few more being added soon. Full-service tire and auto service has never been more convenient. So let those tire and service pros at Dobbs take care of your family's vehicles. Check out those money-saving deals at gotodobbs.com. Dobbs, the real deal for real deals since 1976.
That's what it sounded like on Saturday.
And what did you sound like on Saturday?
I didn't have any energy at that point to care.
What, in the second half?
Yeah.
I mean, they entered it only down by what?
It didn't matter. It could have been anything more than 7, and they were done. And that's what happened, Alex. That's what it sounded like, by the way, on ABC as Missouri loses 38-17. They got Fetty Whopped against Texas A&M on Saturday at home.
Fetty Wap. Poor Eric Fetty.
So the game was over when Mizzou fumbled right before the half. That was it. They go down 14-0. They were never coming back from that. It just wasn't happening. They didn't have enough offensively. I had serious concerns going into this one about Matt Zollers. I was shocked by the number of people that were confident, hey, the offense is going to be good. Zollers is going to open things up. True freshman quarterback. Hey, he's at home. Yeah, it's a good defense, but he's at home going up against Texas A&M. This kid's going to be the answer. Man, it's very rarely the answer to start a true freshman quarterback. Almost always they suck. Almost always. The exception is when they're competent. Forget good. Competent would have been a pretty big surprise for him. And so what was surprising is how well he played against Vanderbilt. And I think that threw a lot of us off of the scent of, okay, maybe he's more ready than any of us anticipated. Alex, my concern is I think it also may have thrown Mizzou's coaching staff off of the scent of how ready he was for this kind of a situation, because their game plan made no sense to me. It is not the number one reason they lost that game. It is a big reason why they lost the game, though. I don't understand how you had so few easy throws for Matt Zollers early in the game and why they ever went away from the running game. It's the only thing that Texas A&M's defense doesn't do well is stop the run. We mentioned this on Friday.
Wasn't Hardy's first time touching the ball? He broke out for 40 yards.
He touched the ball in the first 2 carries and finished with like 46 yards on those 2 carries. And then touched the ball one more time in the first half. It doesn't make any sense. Now, I saw somebody posted this on Twitter, and it's a fair point. Part of that is because they just didn't have the ball. It was the same thing as against Alabama, where like they didn't have the ball, so how are you going to give it to Hardy? But in that second quarter, it was all Jamal Roberts. And Jamal Roberts played well, to be fair. But in the first quarter, they got away from the running game. In second down situations, finally in the second half, they went to this. But in second down situations, a lot of the time it would be like 2nd and 7. They run it on first down. They get 3 or 4 yards, 2nd and 7, and then they're throwing. And now you've got a 3rd and 7. It's like, oh, no chance. No chance you're going to be converting here, because now you have these exotic blitzes from Mike Elko's defense, who has the best pass rush in the SEC, one of the best pass rush units in the country, and they do it in a way that's unique. There are very few teams that have as many blitz pressures as Texas A&M does. So you've got a below average at best offensive line with a true freshman quarterback and receivers that, for whatever reason, just couldn't really get open on Saturday either. That's a terrible recipe. It's a recipe for disaster. You also have a kicking game that you don't trust. So what you should be doing here, Alex, is like run. 4 straight downs, run it on all of them. Yeah, Texas A&M knows it's coming. Guess what? Make them stop. Make them stop you. And they just were unwilling or unable, I don't know, to do that. But you look at the starting running backs, Hardy and Roberts combined in this game, 30 carries for 219 yards. The passing game in 22 attempts had 77 through the air.
Jeez.
And that doesn't count any of the sacks. So when you include those in the game, they basically had like 25 dropbacks for a combined 60 yards.
And quick math when you just did that, I think that's averaging about 7 yards per carry from the running backs? 30 to 219?
Yeah, roughly.
So, I mean,
that's
a first down every 2 carries.
It didn't make any sense. It made 0 sense whatsoever. So I left that game thinking, yeah, it's pretty much what I expected, and also was somehow still disappointed by the performance.
Well, and the part that was frustrating, too, and correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't Matt Zoller, didn't he have a hand injury or something like that early on?
He hit his hand on a helmet as he was, it took place on that fumble right before that.
Because I was watching it without audio, obviously, because the Blues was taking place, and they just kept panning to his hand, and it's like, okay, but yet they just continued to put him out there. That's the part that I don't understand. You found yourself almost every single set in a 3rd and long. and you're still relying on Zollers to come through with this. You saw it in the first couple of drives. Like, hey, it ain't it. You've got two incredible running backs. You know you're going up against a vulnerable defense on the running side, and you just continue to throw the football. And what's even more frustrating in that game isn't so much that, the whole Zoller. It's that your defense kept you in it. Your defense is elite. Your defense shut
I know the
that.
score doesn't indicate that, but they were so good, man.
At some point, that defense gets gassed, though, every time Zollers takes the field and it's 3 and out, and then you're going right back to the defense.
Exactly.
In the first half, you had the chance to be only down by 7 because of how elite your defense was. And frankly, you could have made it closer if you would have stuck with the running game.
And let's not forget about the pass or the special teams as well. Giving up that huge 4th down play where it's, they get a huge stop.
Yeah.
And then you get the fake punt out there. That leads to a touchdown as well.
Yeah, it's deflating.
So, I put almost zero blame on the defense for that performance on Saturday. They did everything they possibly could. That's a really good Texas A&M team that she went up against. I think it is truly one of the 2 to 3 best teams in the country. I know that's where they're ranked, but I also think they're as good as that record and that resume suggests. They did everything they could to keep you in it. And by the end of the game, there's just nothing left.
Can I ask you this? Because I heard TMA talking about it, and I've seen a few people react to it as well.
Sure.
How frustrated are you with Eli Drinkwitz in terms of that decision, the decisions in that game? You also go back to a couple of other games that he's gone through where it's like you question the play calling from the head coach.
So there's some of that, definitely. I'm frustrated about a lot of things with the offense this year. Just in general, I don't understand how you ended up this light on the offensive line. We knew coming in, it's almost the Dennis Gates thing, where every offseason you go into it, like, well, just get a center. We'll be fine. Everything else kind of is coming into place. Just get the center. And for like 3 consecutive seasons, they failed to get a center in the offseason. And then you get to, March, you're like, man, if you go up against a big team, you're screwed. I don't know how you're going to be able to go up against some of these teams that have size or teams that are very deliberate with their game plan and they're going to attack you on the interior. And guess what? It's happened every year where they get to March and it shows up. And so for Mizzou, this offseason, they did so well in the portal, but they whiffed on the left tackle situation. You get to fall camp, and suddenly, by the end of camp, like 2 days remained, and they were like, hey, we're moving Caden Green out to left tackle. Whoa, okay. We'll see how this thing goes. And early on, it didn't appear it was going to be a problem. Guess what? It's a problem. They don't have an offensive line that's up to snuff. So you've got that issue. Then the passing game all year has just appeared to be constipated. Like, it can't get easy
not
throws
a fun thing
off.
to do.
And I thought maybe, hey, this is Bo Perbula. Like, maybe he's just not as good as we thought. Like, it's the whole operation. It's the schematics of it. It's the quarterback. Maybe it's the receivers. I don't know. I think they're pretty good at receiver, but now I'm questioning that. The offensive line is no good. I don't know if the running game and the passing game are married very well. Texas A&M was apparently calling out their plays at the line of scrimmage, and Caden Green afterwards said, hey, yeah, they were like calling out what we were going to do next. And maybe some of that is because you have such a limited play sheet with a true freshman quarterback that it's just going to happen that way. And by the time you get to the second half, you just hope that you had enough built up.
Yeah, but hold on.
From the
You're not
first.
even going to adjust when they're calling out your play that you're about to run?
I don't know what you can do. Like, sometimes you do if you have a true freshman quarterback and he doesn't know the full playbook or not all of that is at his disposal, what are you going to do? Start calling stuff that he doesn't know?
Don't they have an armband or something?
Is Alex going to start drawing stuff on his armband?
Like,
you go up and out. You go a little under a route.
Hold on. They know I'm going to throw. Let's run the ball.
Yeah, I don't know, man, but that's where I'm frustrated is the entire situation with the offense for 2 years now has just felt disjointed. And last year it was Brady Cook, and he was hurt and all of these different things. But, I mean, how many times are we going to look through the same thing? I will add this, though. I'm less frustrated about this game against Texas A&M than I was about the fact that they lost against Vandy. That was the game. Because you always thought that this was going to be a loss. Bama and A&M, everybody looked at the schedule coming into the year and said, you probably lose those 2 games. Can you win the rest of the games on your schedule? Last year, you failed to figure it out against South Carolina. Ultimately, that's what doomed you. If you had won that game, You're 10-2 at the end of the season. I don't know for sure that they get into the playoff, but they would have given themselves a fighting chance. The resume is tough because you got whopped against both Alabama and Texas A&M.
It was like the Illinois would have won 10 games.
Exactly. But you still get to 10 games, give yourself a shot. This year, you failed against Vandy. If you had won that game, even with the loss against Texas A&M, you're still in play for a college football playoff. You take care of business against Mississippi State. You take care of business against Arkansas. Pull off one upset against Oklahoma. That's all it would have required. But they failed to take care of business against Vandy. So here you are. And that one is where I think it's really frustrating with the running game. I was more frustrated by their lack of running against Vandy even than I was against Texas.
So maybe sorry, go ahead, T-Bone.
It's frustrating the Vandy too because Zollers outplayed expectations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the moment Prabila went down, we all had the same thought. Oh crap, true freshman quarterback, third string quarterback coming into the year, and now you got to have him for most of that game against Vanderbilt to try and pull off the upset win, and he played fine. And if we're being honest, he probably had one good game in the. What's it going to be, 4 starts for him by the end of the year? He probably had one good game of him by the time you get done to the season, and he used it against Vanderbilt.
And he fell an inch short.
Yeah.
On a Hail Mary. Fall backwards.
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of people bring up like the Eli Drinkwitz stuff, Alex, and how you're frustrated that he can't win the big one. Now, I know TMA, we can get into these numbers a little bit later on, but they brought up some fair points about how he's failed to beat good teams on the schedule. Most teams fail to win those games, and I feel like we're just completely overlooking the 2023 season. Guys, the 2023 season is not remembered as well as it should be because there was no playoff that year. If there was, Missouri would have been in it. Are we just forgetting that? Are we ignoring that completely? Because I heard earlier today, TMA brought this up, and they were like, yeah, you wish that Mizzou could be in the conversation. They could be in it at the end. They were. 2 years ago. The problem was the playoff was 4 teams. And so it was just bad timing. But 2 years ago, Eli Drinkwitz was your head coach. He went 10-2 during the regular season, and they would have made the college football playoff if the playoff had expanded that year. And I feel like, are we just forgetting it because it didn't expand? And so like it didn't matter that they finished 9th in the playoff rankings? Because that's kind of what it feels like to me. Drinkwitz is a really good coach. He won 11 games, and then he won 10 games, and this year he's probably going to finish with like 7 because of the quarterback situation. But this was a team, if you had Bo Prabila as your quarterback, I think they probably win 9. Maybe it's 8. But we're good enough to be right there in the playoff contention once again. That's 3 consecutive seasons where you're right there, a game away from getting into playoff contention. At a place like Mizzou, I don't think it's reasonable to complain about that. So, like, am I done with Drink? Am I mad at? No, man. Go ahead and find the coach that you can definitively say that would be better here. It's almost impossible to do. This guy has done unthinkable things in his time at Mizzou. That doesn't mean he is without any flaws. I get frustrated at times for all of the things that I said earlier in this segment. But he's still a damn good football coach, and 2023 happened, and I feel like we're just pretending as if it didn't as we talk about this team in this program here on the station. Do you guys disagree with any of that?
No, I think that's fair. And like you look at those 23 those 2 losses in 2023. One was at number 2 Georgia. Like that was like written in pen.
And they were right there.
Yeah, and they were in that
Brady
game.
Cook freaked out.
And also, wasn't Georgia kind of a tank at that time too to go up against?
Yeah, that was I think the final year where Georgia was like this. Just
they were elite,
literally a bulldog. And then you look at the second loss, and it was home to LSU. You lost to the guy that won the Heisman. Like literally, he beat you single-handedly.
Yeah,
like that's just one of those games where you go, "Holy crap! Did that really just happen?" Tip your cap. That guy was unbelievable. Boom! You win 10 games in the regular season, expanded playoffs. You're in, and. Yeah, I think you're spot on with all that. But, man, you two have had a lot of anger to get off your chest here in the first 2 segments.
Jaden Daniels, 15 carries for 130 yards. Finished that day 15 of 21 for 260 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
his receivers that day.
That was an elite game.
Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr.
And that's not a bad receiver.
Come on.
Those guys are schlubs now,
They got blue chipped. They got beat by some of the best players in the country who then went on to be the best players in the NFL.
They got beat by a Pro Bowl team.
And Cook threw for 411 in that game.
He was awesome. He was
Trader
amazing.
for 114 on the ground. Burden 149 receiving.
Yeah, they were awesome. I don't know how it happened, but we have erased that season from our memories.
It doesn't count. Playoff expanded. We're not going to count anymore before that.
It's baffling.
It's funny that Georgia loss bothers me more than that LSU loss.
Oh, 100%.
They were in it at the halftime, and it's like, what are you? They just completely botched the rest of their game style in the second half.
Well, they had it.
Yep.
They had it, and then
wasn't there a massive fumble?
That was
what
the Brady Cook
yeah.
one where he just threw it to the defensive lineman. It was like, what are you doing, man? Yeah. But anyways, I was very frustrated by the game over the weekend. Don't get me wrong. And I don't know what the rest of this season I don't think is going to go particularly well for Mizzou. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose on Saturday against Mississippi State. I don't think that is a dark period in Mizzou's history. I think they're starting a true freshman quarterback and they don't have a kicker. And they screwed up their left tackle situation. I think you can fix those things going into next year. But I think I may be on an island in all of these different areas because it sure seems like Mizzou fans are unwilling to get there yet. And maybe that's just because it's fresh. We're all frustrated.
We're all frustrated these days. You and I aren't in a good place right now.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we're going to get into some questions and answers. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. NFL Quick Hitters next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Over the weekend, the St. Louis Blues fell to the Seattle Kraken in overtime 4-3. They are off again today before they return back to action tomorrow night when they host the Calgary Flames. We'll have pregame coverage tomorrow starting at 6 o'clock with Alex Ferrario and puck drop at 7 o'clock with Chris Gerber and Joey Vitale. The Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See him at Londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, it's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. We have some big news here on BK and Ferrario. The Giants are firing head coach Brian Daboll.
Oh, it's like they knew we were going to NFL quick hitters. That was nice.
Perfect timing. Thanks, NFL.
Not surprised.
No, God, no.
I was surprised he got to coach this year.
I mean, look, personally, thank you, Brian Daboll, for that job you did yesterday, because the survivor pool lives on, ladies and gentlemen. There's only 68 remaining.
Yeah.
You are one lucky SOB.
I am so glad. So here's the actual situation. So when we wrapped up our show on Friday, I switched it from the Panthers to the Bears. When we left, that's when the DeAndre Swift, he might not play, came out, and I was supposed to go switch it back to the Panthers. I completely forgot until Sunday when I looked at my website, and the Panthers were losing. I'm like, oh, my God, I picked the Bears. I thought I had the Panthers still, and I had the Bears.
With 6 minutes and 20 seconds left.
God bless you, Caleb Williams.
The Bears were down 20-10. The Giants punt. The Bears go 9 plays, 91 yards, and score a touchdown. The Giants then have a 3-and-out. The Bears go 53 yards and 4 plays and go up 24-20. And then the Giants did nothing to finish things out. Russell Wilson was in the game for the 4th time this year.
That's when I knew it was over.
Left with a concussion protocol situation. Dude, he has got to stop playing this way. I think Jackson Dart's been really impressive. I've been surprised by how well he has played, by and large. And part of his value is what he does with his legs. You can't completely eliminate that. But man, we've seen this with other quarterbacks. If you're going to play this way, you will continue to be hurt. He's not big enough to get away with this. No. He doesn't have the body armor to do it. But whoever the next coach is there, they've got to instill some of that into Jackson Dart of, hey, man, love what you do, love the moxie, get down. You can't keep taking these hits. Otherwise, it's going to continue to be the same problem.
Yeah, I wonder if that was part of the thought. I mean, look, Brian Daboll's time in the Giants has not been very good, but Daboll obviously coming from the Bills where he had a mobile quarterback. You wonder if that's part of the process where it's like we can't keep putting Jackson Dart through this. Because wasn't it him that was fined earlier this season in terms of going into the blue tent and Dart going back into the game?
Correct.
So I think this was just bound to happen at some point for the Giants. Look, they actually have the quarterback and running back now that can at least instill some hope for the Giants.
And receiver, they've got Malik Neighbors as well. They've got the starting
and they've got
points.
A fun defense too. But I think you needed a new voice in there. I actually like Brian Daboll. I think he might be a better coordinator than he is a head coach. But you just had to move on at some point if you're the Giants. And after that loss, it makes the most sense he's getting fired.
All right, let's go through a few of the games from yesterday. We just went through the Bears win, which, Alex, congratulations, man. You're continuing to advance in your survivor pool.
We're alive, T-Bone.
What, 65 people remain?
65 people. 45% of the people were eliminated on that Panthers loss to the Saints.
1,000 entrants. Alex is one of 65 that remains. I do have an update on our Wayno pool. Oof. Bad week for us in the Big League Impact fantasy football
What happened
pool.
is he got way too excited on Friday that we might throw out the first pitch, and then...
Yeah. I played Brock Bowers in our league for us, and he was terrible on Thursday night. And basically, after that, there was no recovery.
Puka, and Puka wasn't even in the lineup.
I had Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I had Jackson Smith and Jigba. When the Seahawks had 2 defensive touchdowns, I was like, oh, well, there goes the Jackson Smith and Jigba play. Yeah. He was great to start off, but just didn't need to throw it anymore.
He claims that he just kind of mixed up his lineups. I'm a little worried that he meant to click on Puka and accidentally clicked on Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I agree with that.
So the big game early in the morning yesterday, Colts versus the Falcons. Man, Falcons, that's a tough one to lose the way you did. Jonathan Taylor, 32 carries, 244 yards, added another 42 yards through the air. Alex, I know that running backs are seemingly ineligible for this award. Nobody has won it, the MVP, since Adrian Peterson did. I think Jonathan Taylor's been the best player in the league this year.
And I forget what the comp was, but Jonathan Taylor is having an Adrian Peterson MVP-esque season.
He's on pace for 1,900 rushing yards and 450 receiving yards.
Look, we can talk Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones has been great, but to me, there has been nobody as consistent and solid, and the reason that their team is standing where they're. I mean, the Colts are 8-2 right now on the season, and the 2 losses have been because Jonathan Taylor was silent in those games.
And it's like that Derrick Henry season with the Titans. I fear Jonathan Taylor far more than I fear their passing game. Their passing game has been good, but it all plays off of the fact that you have Jonathan Taylor, and so people have to respect that. And here comes the passing game over the top. Alec Pierce is a big part of that. Jonathan Taylor, to me, if I had a vote, and I don't and I shouldn't, but if I had a vote for the NFL's MVP, today he would be number 1 on my list.
I agree.
He's been that good, man. It's hard for me to ignore it at this point.
It'd be he and Drake May.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I would put Stafford in the top 3.
Stafford's been so good.
I mean, and that's what kind of helps this case for Jonathan Taylor. There's not a lot of great quarterbacks that have run away with it. Like, Stafford's been good. I mean, 25 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, ridiculous. Drake May's been good. But nobody's putting up, like, these really big, sexy numbers where I'm like, aha, yeah, that guy deserves the MVP.
Do you guys know who leads the NFL in passing yards so far this year?
I do, because I'm looking at it, so I won't answer.
Is this Darnold?
No. Give you 2 more.
Give me the team.
I'll give you 2 more guesses. I don't think you'll get it.
Oh, God. So it's got to be somebody that I don't. It's not Drake May.
Mm-hmm.
He's 3rd.
He is? Oh, well, that was close. Oh, geez. Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Is it?
Daniel Jones leads the NFL in pass. Now, some of that is because he's played 10 games. Other guys have not. The leader in passing yards per game is Matthew Stafford so far this year at 270 yards per game. But Daniel Jones is second among players that have started every game for their respective team. So he's been legitimately good this year. I just still would lean toward the running back over the quarterback, which is a rarity for me. I typically would lean towards the quarterback. Can we talk about this Dolphins win real quick?
Yeah, we need to talk about this because the coach that should have been fired is the Buffalo Bills head coach.
Has anybody seen Donnie? How's he doing today?
Oh, not good. We were texting over the weekend.
Really?
Yeah, Donnie wasn't good Saturday after that Blues loss. And then,
oh, my God.
I didn't think of that.
I actually think, not to like expose the text that we have between each other, but I actually think Donnie just said, my teams are awful. I'm out. That was the text I got Saturday, and I don't know how Donnie is holding up on Sunday.
We should reach out to him tomorrow, see how he's doing.
You know what? Yeah, on Wednesday, I got to imagine Donnie's going to be in a really good space for our podcast.
The Bills won their Super Bowl. They did. They played against the Chiefs last week. That was their Super Bowl. I should have seen this coming, man.
Not that bad of a loss, though.
Agreed. I didn't see it coming against that team. That's what threw me off of it. But if they had played, like if you flipped the games, they play Tampa next week. If they had played Tampa this past weekend, I would have picked Tampa in that game. But, man, 30-13 to get run all over the way that they did.
That's a fireable offense. Oh, you don't let that team that is just in shambles right now. You don't let that team. And Tua wasn't even that good in that game. It was Devin A-Chain goes off for 180 yards, 2 touchdowns.
I'm worried about them the next few weeks, man. They've got Tampa next week. Then they go on the road at Houston. If CJ Stroud is back, that's a good defense that you're going up against. A few weeks from now, they've got at New England as well. They've got Philly still on their schedule. That's like 4 or 5 potential losses that could be on their schedule. I think they're going to make the playoffs. This could be a 9 or a 10-win team at most this season.
I say they're a playoff team. I don't question that. They're going to have to go on the road for the playoffs, though.
The Chiefs and the Ravens and the Bills might be on the road in the divisional round. In the divisional round,
man. It's going to make a really fun playoff.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at like New England's schedule. I mean, you mentioned what Buffalo's got. New England's got the Jets, the Bengals, the Giants, the Jets, and Miami still on their schedules. They do have Baltimore and Buffalo in back-to-back weeks, one of those being on the road at Baltimore. That's an easy schedule, and they've got already, 2 games in hand and the tiebreaker currently against Buffalo. If Buffalo's not winning their division, they're going to have to go on the road in the playoffs, and that is going to be a tough task. And the way that it's going to seed probably means you're potentially running into whether it's Lamar or Mahomes in the second round of the playoffs in the divisional round rather than in the championship weekend.
We'll get to questions and answers on the other side. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. I want you guys to do a power rankings for me, 1 through 5 on the following teams, okay?
This isn't going to be fun. I can already see it.
All of these teams are among the top 5. These are the top 5 records in the NFL right now. That's an easier way to frame it. The Patriots, the Colts, the Broncos. The 3 best records in the AFC.
I can already tell you the Broncos are the 5th team on this bracket.
The Seahawks and the Rams. Those are the two from the NFC.
Ooh, so I would go Rams 1, Seahawks 2, Colts 3, Patriots 4.
And then Broncos 5.
And then Broncos 5. Yeah, Bo Picks doesn't even belong in this category. The Chiefs will unseed them soon.
So you went Rams, Seahawks, Colts?
Yeah.
I would go Rams, Seahawks, Patriots, Colts, Broncos.
The only reason I go Colts over the Patriots is because of Jonathan Taylor. As good as Drake May is, I don't believe they have the game-breaking player like the Colts do.
And that's why I would go with the Patriots, because I think that game-breaking player is Drake May. I think there is no defense for a perfect throw, and that guy consistently makes the perfect throw. He's been playing like a top 5 quarterback in the NFL this season. And their defense is pretty good. It's well coached. Mike Vrabel, no surprise there. They're not perfect. They are a flawed football team. But to me, what we have seen from them, both against the Bills a few weeks ago, where they won that game, and then this week to win on the road at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I'm in on the Patriots. I'm a believer in that team.
Yeah, I would go Rams 1, and I think it is by far number 1. I would go Patriots 2 because of the way Drake May has played.
Over the Seahawks.
I've seen this formula from Sam Darnold. Last year when he was with Minnesota, really good offense, very explosive, a very good defense as well in Minnesota. And what did he do? He saw a ghost in the playoffs and really collapsed in the final 2 games. So I'm just not going to trust him. I would put them at 3 because the defense is so good. They will stay in a football game. And then I would go Colts 4, Broncos 5.
Broncos stink.
Yeah, Broncos don't even deserve to be on this list.
Yeah,
they don't even deserve to be here.
It's wild that those are our 5 best teams, though. Nobody could have seen this coming. For all of the talk about how predictable the NFL is, and I say this as much as anybody, this has been a wildly unpredictable season.
I think by the end of the season, though, the Lions are going to be in that conversation, the Chiefs are going to be in that conversation, and the Bills are going to be in that conversation.
I was going to say, it feels kind of like, it wasn't the AL, but it feels a lot like the NL in the baseball playoffs, where it's like, whoa, the Dodgers, well, they got to go play in the wild card round. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, it's still the Dodgers.
2021, the Titans had that number 1 seed. That happened, and that was a fun year. We had the year where the Jaguars ended up in the AFC Championship game. What was that, 2017, I think? Yeah, 2017, where they played against the Patriots, and then it was Nick Foles and the Eagles going up against, I think it was the Vikings that year.
Yeah, and it was, I think, Keenum, if I'm not mistaken, was the quarterback.
It was Foles, a weird Keenum, Bortles, and Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And Brady, of course, ends up winning it all. But that was a fun one. Or, excuse me, Foles won it all that year.
Mm-hmm.
That was the year
that was the
Philly special, right?
Yeah, Philly special.
So
and he picked apart the Patriots.
This does happen. It's incredibly rare where you see this kind of a season. All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers here on 101 ESPN. No blame to the TMA today for our clock management. This is all on me. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's 12 o'clock. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler.
It's mostly because you and I both had a lot of steam to get off of our chests today.
That is correct. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. In just a little bit, we'll talk about the Cardinals as they open up the general manager meetings in Vegas later on today. All right, let's get to your questions from the text line from the 636. Alex, if Army were to make a big splash in the immediate future, how could the outgoing players be anyone other than Braden Shin? Would they like to get another version of him in return?
I don't think it would be Braden Shin. Like, Braden Shin, to me, you're just selling him off for pieces. You're getting picks, you're getting prospects. If you're making a move to, like, make the team better now, it's a hockey trade, and it would be one of Kyrou, Thomas, Buchnevich. I mean, I don't think it would be Thomas. That's a franchise center that you're not trading. So, you narrow it down to Kyrou or Buchnevich. You're making a trade of a guy for another player that probably needs a change of scenery also. I don't know how likely that is because you got no trade clauses. And I don't know if the player's willing to accept the trade of the place. But Shen, you're not trading to get something back in return to help this team now. If you trade Shen, you're essentially saying we're going to be a bad team this year and we're going to go get picks.
I kind of fall on the other side of this. If you're planning to trade off part of your core, I think trading Shin makes a lot of sense. Because I think you're acknowledging when you're trading off of your core, we're not a good team. And the further you get into Shin's career, I think we just have to acknowledge the obvious, the worse he's going to be. That's human nature. You get worse as you continue to age. So I do think that's something they would probably have to consider. I know that the leadership component of this is an important part of the conversation. Eventually, these guys in the locker room are going to have to be able to lead without Braden Shin as part of it. And if they can't do that, then you need to bring in somebody else that can. That's also part of the coach's job. And you have a coach in right now that you think is one of the best in the league. So I think between what you have with Jake Neighbors and some of these other guys that are still here, I think you would be able to keep it together. And even if not, if that's an off-season problem that you've got to solve.
Yeah, they just said the immediate future, and I don't see any scenario where Shen gets traded before the deadline. That, to me, is a deadline move to where you wait and you just see, you make it a bidding war. I don't see them making that trade in December. And if they were to make a trade sooner rather than later, it's because they want to try and salvage this season.
From the 636, how scary was it watching Mizzou as they almost lost to SEMO over the weekend? Dude, that was bad. I mean, that was really bad. I couldn't believe it. Maybe SEMO's better than I'm giving them credit for. That's possible. You can't play like that.
Blew
Against
them
them
out.
Yeah.
No.
Defensively, this team's got some real problems right now.
There's no scenario where you can justify getting a game that close to SEMO.
I almost wore my Drake sweatshirt from last year to really help resemble the almost great moment from the SEMO.
Well, really, you're wearing it because you paid $75 for it, and you better get more use than one freaking game out of it.
Right?
Yeah, it's quite comfortable. Yeah, I enjoy it.
He sleeps in it.
Yeah.
It's his nighttime hoodie.
My night hoodie. Yeah.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. Last one here from the 314. Where did this go? Sorry, it was on the college football.
We're running out of time here, Brandon.
Let's just go with this one. Guys, if Drinkwitz were to leave, who would be some realistic candidates to replace him?
James Franklin.
Sure.
Brian Kelly.
No. John Summerall, Tulane coach. The Memphis coach would be one. Silverfield, I think is his name.
Just
Texas,
promote Kirby Moore.
Eric No.
Why'd you look at me like that,
Eric
man?
Morris.
Who'd you say?
Eric Morris, the UNT coach.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the pool you're pulling from. You're going to group of five. Group of five or a current coordinator. Like Texas A&M's offensive coordinator, Colin Klein, guy's a head coaching candidate. Maybe you could hire him. But you're not pulling from, a current Power 5 team. I don't think that's likely.
What? We can't lure away like Ryan Day?
Brett Bielema.
Yeah, he wouldn't want
That's
it.
one you could probably lure
Are you
away.
kidding me? Big
Coming
Ten
up
to the
in 15
SEC?
minutes, we'll
Big
get
Ten
into
to
in
Eastern
or out. You
Conference.
guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are in or out here on BK and Ferrario. But next, these are the kinds of moves that the Cardinals should legitimately explore this offseason. How many of them are going to be available? We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN.
BK, football season is in full swing. Underdog, best place to get in on all of the action, and you can make entries and win money right now in the state of Missouri. We've got Monday Night Football. BK loves his Packers, so obviously I'm going to go over there and open up the Underdog app. First things first, 40% profit boost, BK. That's how I always start my Underdog app. But then I put my entry in. I got 4 picks for tonight. Jordan Love lower on pass yards, higher on Josh Jacobs touchdowns, higher on Saquon Barkley receiving yards, and let's all be honest, lower on A.J. Brown receiving yards. We know that's going to hit.
It is that easy. You can do it over on the Underdog app. I had a really nice play that I liked over the weekend for Mizzou versus Texas A&M. Alex, I thought I had the interception that I needed, and unfortunately for me, it counted as a fumble. But otherwise, all of the other picks hit. You can do it over on Underdog as well. Choose whether your favorite players are going higher or lower, just like Alex did. Download the app today. Sign up using our promo code BKO. That's promo code BKO. You can score $100 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code BKO. Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 or older. Present in Missouri. Terms to apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. So, Alex, earlier today, Bob Nightingale, who, take it or leave it, I understand some people don't love some of the stuff that he does, but I think he has a good pulse on this kind of time of the year. He wrote out who he believes could be the trade candidates that start to get discussed today, as today is the beginning of the general manager meetings out in Las Vegas. As you can imagine, a couple of Cardinals were mentioned on this list.
One would be more than a couple.
Was Sonny Gray. It was actually 2. Sonny Gray is one of the finest starters on the trade block, according to Bob Nightingale, but he's also earning $35 million this year and has a full no-trade clause. The Cardinals will have to eat some of that contract if they'd like to move him. No surprise there. The other Cardinal mentioned is Nolan Arenado. Quote, he rejected deals last offseason to the Astros and the Angels. This time around, he will not say no to anybody. He'll be willing to move his no-trade clause to get out of town. The Cardinals will have to pay down some of the remaining $31 million left on his contract through 2027. Again, no real surprise there. As Cardinals followers, I would agree both of those guys are likely to be traded this offseason. So at least from that side of things, this list makes sense. As I continued to look up and down the list, though, Alex, A, there were players that I was a bit surprised to see, and B, I thought to myself, man, if they're truly available, These are the kinds of moves that would probably be viewed as a surprise for the Cardinals to make, given where they're at. But I do think it's something that they should explore. The names that were listed, again, from Bob Nightingale over on USA Today, of who's on the Major League Baseball trade block currently as we begin general manager meetings.
I feel like this is a Tinder Monday right here.
Minnesota Twins starters Joe Ryan and Pablo Lopez. I'm interested in both.
I know T-Bone just got excited.
Yeah, Joe Ryan, stud.
I think I'd rather have Pablo Lopez.
I've lost my love for him a little bit.
The injuries are just starting to pile up.
Yeah.
Cincinnati Reds ace Hunter Green. Quote, despite recent public denials, they still plan to listen to offers for Hunter Green. Yet, unless they are completely overwhelmed and receive a return that will help them not only compete for now, but in the future, they're likely to keep him.
Cool.
Okay.
So Hunter Green's not getting traded.
Yeah.
The next one, Alex, you ready to get excited?
If this is who I think it is, then yes.
Arizona Diamondbacks all-star second baseman Ketel Marte.
I don't
Quote,
care. Get it.
The Diamondbacks will ask for a lot in return, but they're definitely motivated to move him because he has $71 million remaining on his contract through 2030. If they don't move him by mid-April, Marte would then have 10-5 rights and would have full no-trade provisions.
Yes.
So if they're going to move him, it has to happen this offseason.
Let's get it done right now. Go get him, Heim. 145 OPS plus this year, 154 last year, third in MVP voting. Get it done.
32 years old.
Yeah, it makes zero sense for this team, but I just would like to. This is kind of like you with Bader. Like you want him back just because. Get me Ketel Marte.
This would be dumb, right? We agree that would be not a good move. It would be a pretty silly decision to go get a 32-year-old aging second baseman.
He was a 7-win player last year,
who has some, I would say, character questions.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. Ollie can fix him.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I love Ketel Marte. I think that's the kind of move that, like, the Yankees or the Mariners or the Dodgers.
Mariners reacquire him. Wasn't he there at one point?
They should have. Really, this is a trade that should have happened 8 years ago in 2017 when the Mariners traded it to Arizona. Come on. But
Marlins ace Sandy Alcantara. Probably not
done that, right, guys?
Astros first baseman Christian Walker. They already have 20 of those.
Didn't they just sign him too?
Yes, last offseason.
Okay, good.
Freddie Peralta from the Brewers, not happening in the division. National starter Mackenzie Gore.
I like this one.
The Nationals, according to Bob Nightingale, have a whole new front office, new coaching staff, and new ideas. They are expected to use Gore, who has 2 years of club control remaining, as the trade bait that can kickstart their new era. He's a guy I would have interest in. Now, I don't think the Cardinals would be willing to pay him what is necessary in order to keep him. And if that is the case, you can't trade for him because otherwise it's just 2 years of control. And again, that doesn't really make sense to trade for a guy like that. But if you're willing to pay him what's necessary after the upcoming season, you want to see what it looks like year one, and then you're potentially willing to pay him. I'm interested in Mackenzie Gore. I think he's really good.
I do too. He's not an ace though, right?
No, he's like a 2-3.
And you're probably going to have to pay him more like an ace for how this market is going.
I think what Dylan Cease gets on the market this offseason is probably going to be pretty similar to what Mackenzie Gore is eventually looking to get. Yeah,
probably. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, if Liam Doyle becomes the stud that we hope he becomes, this would make sense because you're getting a cheap potential ace and a really good number two with that swing and miss stuff. Plus, you're pouncing on a guy that had a good season, but not a great season. I like this move. I don't think the Cardinals would do it, though, because you're not going to extend him.
And though I think he is more of a 2 right now, I still think he's got upside to develop into a 1. I mean, he's got incredible swing and miss stuff. I mean, 10.4 strikeouts per 9. If he cuts down the walks a little bit, you're talking about a guy, and as he matures, he's only 26 years old. He could end up being a guy that is kind of a late blossomer into becoming a number 1. He's not like the Hunter Green, who like the moment he hit the scene, it was like, wow, that guy's unhittable. He still has some of that upside to bet on. I would make this move if I were the Cardinals.
He would have the highest upside of any arm in the Cardinals organization not named Liam Doyle.
Yeah, and I mean, man,
maybe even including him.
You're talking about
a low bar, but yeah.
You're talking about a 1-2 punch that, like, for the next 8 years puts you in a hell of a position to where you also don't need to worry about going to the market and signing those top guys because you've got it one cost controlled, one that's at a decent contract.
Other players on the market, according to Bob Nightingale, Stephen Kwan doesn't make sense. Mitch Keller, mid-rotation starter for the Pirates. I don't think they're trading in the division. Luis Severino, you liked him last offseason. 3 years, $67 million deal with the Athletics. I don't think it makes sense for the Cardinals. Yankees prospect Spencer Jones. He's their, like, Aaron Jones-looking outfielder. He's huge. He's absolutely massive. I don't think they're probably going to trade him, and I don't think you have anything that they would trade him for, so probably not happening either. A couple of the other guys, though, on here that are interesting, Alex.
I need you to get to the name that I'd like to go in on.
We already hit it. It was Marte.
No.
Jarren Duran. According to Bob Nightingale, the Red Sox believe that they need an upgrade over Duran and that he needs a fresh start. It would be a huge surprise if he is in Fort Myers with the Red Sox come spring training. I continue to believe that guy is awesome, and I would love to see him in a Cardinals uniform.
He doesn't make sense.
Edward Cabrera, quote, still has 3 more years of control coming off of his best season. Never had more trade value than right now after never pitching more than 100 innings prior to last season. He's a guy that I also would really like to see in a Cardinals uniform.
This is Mackenzie Gore territory for me. He's a year older, but still, this was the guy I would target also.
Year older, less proven at the major league level, and less reliable, but also would cost you less, both in terms of the contracts potentially and also what you're going to have to give up for him via trade.
Still high strikeout numbers too, though.
Yeah. And the player that I think Alex was talking about, and this is the headliner from this piece. San Diego Padres all-star outfielder Fernando Tatis Jr. The quote from Bob Nightingale: they certainly don't want to trade him and still may not listen, but with all of their bloated and backloaded contracts, someone is going to have to depart. No one that is making big money for the Padres has more trade value than Tatis, whose 14-year, $340 million contract suddenly looks rather reasonable, end quote. Do whatever it takes.
Make them listen.
If he is actually available, yes.
Even if he's
Donnie, Gorman, anybody basically other than Liam Doyle, and maybe that's it. Yeah. I'm willing to listen on.
Make them listen. Like, even if they don't want to trade him, continue to call until they pick up and then offer a deal that they just can't turn down. I'm going to dust the old cobwebs off and brush the dust off of this. Mr. 95% is here because you got to get this done. This is the guy that if you're Heim, win over a fan base immediately.
Did you trade Wynn?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I got Weatherholt.
You're missing You're missing a superstar. And once
you
get him, we've talked about this. I mean, we've talked about it all freaking year. So I would love to not have this conversation next year. You acquire him, everything else just starts to lay in place a lot easier.
You want to be the Blue Jays? This is it. You want to be the Blue Jays next year? Go get your Vlad Guerrero Jr.
And it's the move. It's a little different because he's already got the contract. If you're on truth serum, if you're ownership, this is the move you always used to make. But it's different because he's on the contract. You go out and you acquire a star, and then you extend him. Well, I don't have to worry about the extending part because he's already available and he's locked up. Like, this is the move they used to make. It makes all the sense in the world for them.
Here's a question for you. This is probably too much. Would you trade Wynn, Donnie, and Herrera?
Yes. I'm not even thinking about this. I mean, we're already talking about Donovan being gone. Weatherholt's your win. And then Herrera, it sucks, but you know what? I'm getting a better bat in return. And I also have like 18,000 catchers in my organization that are going to step up. Herrera's not even going to be a catcher in a couple of years. I'm keeping Burleson still, who I know it's not the same as Herrera, but he's got upside. I'm also bringing in Weatherholt into the organization, and I'm adding in an MVP. None of the guys that you just mentioned, in my opinion, are MVPs. This is an MVP.
Text line said, guys, the Padres are looking for pitching. They don't have Dylan Cease coming back. Neither is Darvish. They also don't have Michael King coming back either. They need pitching really badly. I think they need hitting every bit as badly as they need pitching. They have a lack of quality position players right now on their roster. I mean, look at their numbers from a year ago. I understand they've got the pitching side of things that they also have to fix. Dude, their offense was horrific. It was one of the worst in all of Major League Baseball. They had a worse offense last year than the Cardinals did, which is hard to accomplish given what we all saw from the Cardinals all season long. So, yes, could they try to replenish their farm system and their Major League pitching staff with a trade like this? 100%. I also wouldn't be surprised if A.J. Preller looks at it and says, we'll go ahead and add these players, and then we'll flip one of them for the pitching that we're looking for. Like, maybe they say,
flip Donovan.
We'll keep Wynn and Herrera, and we'll trade Donnie to get one of the pitchers that we're looking for. That's also in play with a move like this. That guy's a madman.
This is the move. Again, I don't know how likely, probably very unlikely, but I would force San Diego to say no to this if I'm Heim, because, again, win over your fan base immediately because your first move is bringing in a superstar caliber talent who's also younger, not young, younger, and fits more in line.
Pretty young, he's 26.
Yeah, so I mean, he fits in line with the time frame that you're going off of, and the pieces that you've mentioned, whether it's Wynn, whether it's Weatherholt or Donovan and Herrera, you're still bringing in a guy that changes the outlook of your team, and then you're adding the necessary pieces around that. The piece that you've been searching for the last 10 plus years, now you have at 26, and everything else should be easier for this organization to build around it.
Yeah, and if you get him, and now the one reason I hesitate on like putting Herrera in that trade is now I feel very kind of national-y where I have like a star and like nothing around him.
But isn't Rodriguez supposed to be coming up soon?
Yeah, but like again, if I'm going to operate like that, and the other thing is like I would never bank on like, yeah, well, we got like this prospect that'll be like our second best hitter. Yeah, okay, well, I'm looking at Jordan Walker, who's like your worst hitter and one of the worst hitters in baseball over the last 3 years, and he was supposed to be that guy.
But in that trade scenario, if I remember, you said Wynn, Donovan, and Herrera. I'm bringing in Tatis, who's an upgrade over all of those guys.
Correct.
I'm bringing in Weatherholt, who I expect to be an upgrade over Wynn in terms of offense. Correct. And Burleson, you hope continues to produce somewhat like Brendan Donovan.
Yeah. And you have Contreras potentially still in this scenario, too.
And I just brought in an MVP who raises the ceiling of my offense in general. And I still have other pieces that I can move out to bring in other additionals, whether it's Lars Nootbaar, who's probably going to be here. I've got Jordan Walker still. I've got Nolan Gorman. Like, I've got pieces that I can still maneuver and trade out to upgrade my team.
Do you guys, what would you set the odds right now of Fernando Tatis Jr. being traded this offseason, though?
5%.
That's where I'm at.
I was going to say lower than 10.
It makes no sense. Like, if they need to try and get out of another bloated contract. They should, like, Bogarts is the one they've got to work on, or Machado over the younger guy and him, or
they have
Merrill.
no value.
And those guys all have no trade value.
Bogarts, I don't think you can trade. A, he's got the no trade, I believe.
So does Machado.
And B, there's no value on the deal. In fact, it is so underwater that it would be similar to the Cardinals trading Nolan Arenado, where you're just trying to get off of as much money as possible.
And I think that's where they are.
I think that you're going to have to eat all but, I don't know, $15 million a year for a deal like that. He is a replacement level player at this point. It has gone so horribly for him in his early portion of his career in San Diego. I don't think they could get anything in return, and I don't think most teams would even be willing to take on his contract for free now. So I don't think you can trade him. Machado maybe is a little bit different, but he has the full no trade clause, so he's not going anywhere
Tatis
either.
does as well.
Tatis might be the only guy that you can actually move to get something in return. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tatis, does he have a no trade? I couldn't find it.
He's got a full no trade until 2029, and then it becomes a 10-team no trade list. So Machado's is basically no trade for the remainder of the contract. He's there until 2033.
Tatis is the guy that if he's willing to move, you could actually get something in return for. I think he's the only guy that actually fits into that criteria for them this offseason. They're just really lacking trade chips at this point.
Yeah, and like because he's 26 and is a superstar, I would not move him. I understand you are cash strapped. You have to find a way to get out of another one.
Yeah, that's trade Jackson Merrill if you wanted to, but that seems also very.
I wouldn't do that either. Like, if I am Preller, I'm either just stuck sitting on my hands because I screwed up in the Bogarts deal, or I have to move one of Bogarts or Machado.
But it puts your team in a rough spot to where, like, you can't add because obviously you're already financially strapped. You can't move out Machado or Bogarts. At least a Tatis Jr. may be willing to listen. And if I've got Jackson Merrill, well, now I try and better my team with the complementary pieces. I've got the star in Jackson Merrill. Again, I'm reasoning this in the Cardinals' mindset. It makes sense to me.
Yeah, from the Cardinals' perspective, it makes all the sense in the world. From the Padres' perspective, I think you'd have to be pretty overwhelmed by a trade. That's why I mentioned, like, do you consider Mason Wynn plus Ivan Herrera plus Brendan Donovan? Each of those pieces individually have huge trade value on the market. Now I'm potentially packaging all three together in one deal for a proven superstar caliber player. It's probably not a smart move from the Cardinals' perspective, but he would be the building block that you have not had in your organization since Yadier Molina was in his prime or since Albert Pujols was in his prime. And that's the kind of thing that would at least get you started. It would be the kickstart to the next 5 to 7 years of whatever the build's going to be here in St. Louis. With Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. In or out coming up next. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for in or out. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are in or out here on BK and Ferrario. Let's start out with this one. Alex, in or out? The Cardinals will trade away Brendan Donovan and Mason Wynn this offseason.
Out. Unless it's for Fernando Tatis Jr., which we just discussed, and I would be absolutely in on, but I don't think that's likely. I'll say out. I think Mason Wynn is here. You're moving on from Brendan Donovan because of what he can bring you back in return, and the easy transition is Weatherholt to either second base or third base.
Yeah, I say out. I think Donovan is going to be traded this offseason. Like, I would call that today. I don't know how creative Heim's going to be, and that's why I'm going to say out, because Wynn would be a creative move, because it wouldn't be selling. It would be more of a buying move by moving him.
Yeah, I'm out on this as well. You've got a gold glove caliber, and I thought platinum glove worthy shortstop who can hit 270. Maybe you get a little more pop from him in the future. I think that's a guy you built around, not a guy that you end up trading. I know we have our differences on the value of Mason Wynn, but I personally think he's a guy that they should keep and will keep internally. Alex, what do you have for us today?
Guys, in or out, Philip Broberg will have a contract extension before the start of next season.
In.
Sorry, let me, because obviously he will. He's an RFA. A long-term contract extension. I know. I phrased that.
And he's not going to no offer sheet.
In my head, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. No, a long-term contract extension, not a two,
like
not
5+.
Yeah, 6+.
I think the Blues will do everything in their power to lock him in for the long haul. I don't know that his. I would assume he wants to be here long term. It's going to be very expensive to do so. But yeah, I'll say in.
He had another freaking game the other night that it's like, this dude is incredible. Not only is he shutting things down defensively, he's just playing offense. He's playing with kids out there. So I'm in. I think we see an 8-year deal, hopefully before the end of this season, but at the end of it, no doubt.
Yeah, I would say in. I wonder if he will do it before we get to that Olympic break, or right as it's kind of wrapping up.
Yeah.
Because I think they get, like a couple days off before the second half starts after the Olympics.
Yeah, I think
mistaken.
the Olympics is probably like that second week of February, and then they get like 4 days off before.
I wonder if that's the area that you're looking at when they get it done. So I would say in on this as well. Guys, in or out, the Pittsburgh Steelers are not a freaking playoff team.
Oh, and they're going to miss the playoffs. I fell for it. We lost in the Fast Lane Pick'em Challenge this weekend because all of us took the Steelers.
Oh, that was Carrie's influence. Carrie probably forced you all into that, right?
Who finished last among you guys? Because you said you thought you had a bad week.
Marshy ended up being last, if I'm not mistaken.
You know, like I fell for it, but the reason I was behind the Steelers being a playoff
I didn't
team.
have a good week, but everybody had a bad week. Sorry.
Nobody in the AFC North was good. Like when the Ravens were bad, and it's like, okay, somebody has to win this godforsaken division, and it's probably the Steelers because at least their offense was good. But now I think they've just been exposed these last couple of weeks. They're not a good offense, and their defense can't stop a nosebleed. So I think the Ravens can at least push their way back into that division win, and that's the only team that's coming out of it.
Rodgers was so bad yesterday. Yeah. So QBR, scale of 0 to 100. 100 is perfect. 0 is the worst that you've ever seen. It's based on a percentile of this is better than X percent of quarterback performances, right? What do you think Aaron Rodgers' QBR was yesterday?
Can't go negative, right?
Cannot go negative. Okay. 0 to 100.
How dare you?
Well, it wasn't that good. I'll say like 15.8. He was awful.
I'm going to say it's below 10.
4.6.
Yeah. Man, I felt that was aggressive.
I can't remember the last time I saw a QBR that low. I mean, it was one of the watching it matched that. That feels the way that it looked watching that.
He was awful.
He was so bad.
He needs to go back into a darkness retreat.
And like Collinsworth would point out, like, hey, he overthrew on this play here. What it was he overthrew. Why? Because he's bailing on the throw because he's so terrified to get hit. I don't remember I think it was the third quarter. Has a wide open receiver to his left. And the throw ends up missing the target and it falls incomplete. But part of it's because by the time the ball is at like the apex of his release point, his body's like halfway turned around so he can take the hit from behind.
He just looks so tiny out there too. Like I don't remember Rodgers looking this tiny.
I swear he's like 55 when I see him on the screen.
He moves like it, especially when he's on the ground and he has to get back up. It's like watching me get up off the. Oh!
Somebody on the text line said BK QBR goes 0 to 158, not 0 to 100.
Yeah,
so there's
idiot.
There's two different metrics.
So
I should have. Isn't it? Yeah, so I should have specified. ESPN's QBR is they call it the total QBR. It's a new metric that they've come up with. It includes what you do a little bit on the ground. It includes sacks, all of these different things. QB rating is the traditional metric that does go to 158. This one is on a percentile scale, so it's 0 to 100. They are two different things. They measure similar performance, but this one's a little newer. I personally prefer it because it includes some of the things that QB rating does not, but that's why it goes 0 to 100.
This QB rating had to be like below 30.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for in or out. Alex, I think you're going to enjoy this one. In or out, the Blackhawks will finish with a better record than the Blues this season.
As much as I want to deny it, I think I have to say in. Unless the Blues figure their stuff out. I mean, I do feel like cream always rises to the top, and some teams that are off to a great start setback. Here's the reason why I actually might be more believable into the Blackhawks. They finally have goaltending. I don't know if you guys have looked. Spencer Knight has been one of the best goalies in the National Hockey League this season.
Like, always had this kind of potential.
Yeah, I mean, Bedard, look, a lot of this credit is because of Connor Bedard. He changed his game from a disappointment to being the best player on the ice. They've got young players that are stepping up, but they've got a goaltender who's making the saves. Like, that's the one reason I don't believe in Utah. Utah is good. They've lost 3 in a row, guys. Utah's going to have that adversity moment, and what happens? Goaltending. Goaltending is what makes the difference. So I'll believe it until the Blues can pull themselves out of this rut. I don't think Chicago is going to go into that bad of a down spiral.
There's a changing of the guard taking place in the NHL this year.
Yep.
I mean, you look at you mentioned this before the show. I'll give you credit, Alex. You look at the points leaders so far this season in the NHL. Number 1, still Nathan McKinnon. He's got 29 on the season.
He put up 15 points in the last, 5 games. What are we doing?
He's so good.
Just stop it, Nathan.
But then 2 is Leo Carlson, and the Ducks have been great. You called that one. 3 is Connor Bedard. 4, Macklin Celebrini, who's been awesome so far this year for the San Jose Sharks. So there is a changing of the guard taking place in the
And
Western
the dominant
Conference.
teams, Minnesota, I think Minnesota's going to go into a dark period at some point because all the money on Kaprizov and everyone else hasn't lived up to it. LA Kings are phasing out of this one. I truly believe Winnipeg's going to at some point, even though I know they find ways to keep winning. But Anaheim, Seattle, Chicago, Utah, San Jose. Guys, watch out for San Jose. They're going to be potential playoff team this year because of Macklin Celebrini.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line from the 314. Guys, in or out, the national champion this year will play in a conference other than the SEC. The national champion in college football will be a non-SEC team.
Forget it. I'm out on this one. Not forget it. I'm out of this one.
Did you get the game?
I'm in.
Yeah, I did.
I think somebody other than an SEC team will win it this year.
Yeah.
I think one of Ohio State or Indiana will do it.
I'm in. I think it's Indiana. They are the best team in the country.
I wasn't listening in my defense. I thought you said SEC and Big Ten.
No.
Okay, I'm out.
Yeah. I think I'm with you. I think it's Indiana, Ohio State, and then the team that'll give the best shot from the SEC is
Alabama.
A&M.
I think it's A&M. I mean, their defense is so good, and the offense is really good as well. The one thing that concerns me with A&M is the run defense. You know, they're going to run into
Indiana,
somebody.
Against that run defense? Whew.
Gosh.
Whew. They run for 350.
Yeah, Mendoza won't have to throw the football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I do think that it'll come from outside of the SEC this year. I think the SEC still remains the deepest conference. I think the Big Ten is the best at the top this season. I think they have the 2 best teams right now in the country with Ohio State and Indiana. I think Texas A&M is the only other team that can even get into that criterion. It's not just the record. I think quality-wise, they're up there with those 2 teams. All right, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. Coming up next, Jordan Kyrou played as well as anybody could have anticipated on Saturday in response to his healthy scratch. What does it mean for him moving forward, though? We'll talk about that next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here, the Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Over the weekend, the Blues fell to the Seattle Kraken 4-3 in overtime. They'll be back in action tomorrow night when they host the Calgary Flames. We'll have pregame coverage tomorrow starting at 6 o'clock with Alex Ferrario, and then puck drop at 7 o'clock with Chris Carver and Joey Vitale. The Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See Milano.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, it's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Jordan Kyrou played well on Saturday. Had the goal, should have been the game winner. Alex doesn't have to get into this again, but
we can if you want.
The Blues ended up losing on a goal that should have been disallowed. What does it mean that Kyrou played as well as he did on Saturday?
Nothing. Because to me, and we said this on Friday, he's got to string it together consistently. Like, I expected Kyrou to be the best player on the ice. I mean, when you get called out by your team, even though Jim Montgomery continued to say, like, oh, look, everybody could have been scratched. Well, they weren't. You picked one guy. Kyrou was scratched in that game. There's a reason why. I expected him to come out and perform well. He said all the right things, a true professional, and he came out and he backed it up. But it's not a matter of this. And I'd expect him to be this way on Tuesday. I'd expect him to be this way on Thursday or on Friday and then Saturday. What is he at the end of December? What is he in January? Because that's the real true test. To make yourself a really, really good player and be a star is you got to be consistent. And that's what the Blues are hoping for. So in the scheme of things, it was great for the Blues to get him back. Frankly, I think for the confidence, it should have been the game winner for Jordan Kyrou. But it's going to come down to how consistent is he in those puck battles, because he was winning those battles along the boards. That first goal that Holloway scored, it was all because of Jordan Kyrou, because he pressured the defenseman with his skates, put the stick out, Holloway stole it, and then scores the goal. That's what they want from him. I just don't know if you're going to get it consistently down the stretch. If they do, this team will put themselves back in the playoff picture.
I don't think it means a whole lot, because I don't think that's the way Kyrou plays consistently. And I think it's ultimately going to be the determination of the Blues on whether or not that's okay with them. Because, I mean, how many years do we have to see it from Kyrou before we realize this is who he is? And what he is a consistent 30-plus goal scorer, 70-plus point producer, who's going to be average-ish defensively. He's going to have moments where he's better than that and moments where he's much worse than that. And he's not a guy that goes to the dirty areas. Now, at times, he's much better at going to the front of the net. That's something that I think he could and probably should be a little more consistent with. I think he's capable of doing that. I mean, if Pius Suter can do it, you can do it, Jordan Kyrou. But, like, going to the corners, that's not his game. And, frankly, I don't want him to all the time. Like, he's a guy that can break if he goes into those areas. He's not a big dude. So I need him to have that shot. I need him to be able to consistently put up points for me. And if that means, hey, sometimes you shy away from that contact, so be it. It sucks if you're the teammate. I get it. I'm sure it's frustrating at times to see him shy away from that contact. But also, hey, if you're Jordan Kyrou, you get to put up 30-plus goals a year. You get to be a little bit more shy when it comes to the contact. If you're one of the other guys on the team that produces, 15 goals a year, guess what? Your value to the team is going to those dirty areas. If you're Pavel Buchnevich and you don't have the same offensive upside as you once did, well, now you damn well better be going to those areas. Otherwise, what are you bringing? What are you bringing to the table? So, does it matter? No, I'm with you, Alex. Not a whole lot. I think ultimately this relationship and what the future holds for the two parties is going to be determined by whether or not the Blues are comfortable with who Jordan Kyrou is, more than Jordan Kyrou changing who he is.
Yeah, and, it doesn't have to be him going into the boards and winning physical battles. Like that play for the Holloway goal, that wasn't even him being touched. It was just him skating in on a defenseman who panicked because Kyrou is fast, that said, I got to get rid of this puck. That's what they want. You just need to be in the areas that clog up space, and you should never get beat on the defensive side of the ice, because you're one of the fastest skaters in the game. You should never get beat.
That's fair.
In an odd man rush the opposite direction, and there have been times he has. And I saw somebody on YouTube bring this up, saying, yawn, BK and Ferrario 101 continuing to hammer on Jordan Kyrou. Guys, we're not taking the blame off of anybody else. Jim Montgomery said it as much after the game. Robert Thomas needs to be better in certain areas. He missed an empty net that should have sealed that game. He was skipped over for about 10 minutes in the game against Buffalo. Pavel Buchnevich has had his struggles defensively. Like, penalty kill-wise, he has not been great. This penalty kill is at the bottom of the league, and he is one of their top penalty killers. This is everybody. Kyrou's the one that got picked out. Kyrou's the one that got scratched. This is why we're talking about it. The real reason this team is sitting at the bottom of the NHL standings, all of their top players have not performed well.
But also this, I don't think anybody in St. Louis has been more consistently in support of Jordan Kyrou than me.
Not wrong there.
I think the guy rocks. I think he's a really good hockey player. I think we talk way too much about his deficiencies and not enough about what he brings to the ice. And I think the Blues have caused some of this. Like, the national reports about them potentially listening on offers, that's not coming from nowhere, guys. They don't just make this stuff up. It's coming from somewhere. It's been leaked from somewhere, whether that's the Blues or other teams that have had conversations with the Blues. It's out there. So I don't really know how we're supposed to handle that if it means not talking about it and putting our head into the sand and acting as if it's not a conversation when they're healthy scratching him. They clearly are not happy with his performance so far this season. I think they have overstated how bad his performance has been. I think he had like a 3-game stretch where he kind of disappeared from the ice. I think there are guys on this roster that you can look at and say for the entirety of the season, they've played, 15 games, 16 games so far this year? And for like 14 of them, they've been a disappearing act.
Booch.
So to me, I don't think that he would have been the player that I go to, but whatever. He was. They decided to go in that direction. He responded well. I'll give him a lot of credit for that because there are some guys that would have pouted and said, like, woe is me. Mm-hmm. He didn't do that. Yeah. He went out there and played one of his best games of the season.
And also important to say that he stood up at his locker on Saturday and answered all the questions. And I mean, like, they were on the road and they didn't practice on Friday, so we weren't able to talk to him. The guy stood up in front of his stall and he answered the questions, albeit they were short answers, but he probably doesn't have much to say at that point.
That's how he is. That's how he talks to the media.
You could also duck out and not answer any questions. So I will give him full kudos for being a pro, standing up and answering all of the questions that they had about him being a healthy scratch and then him going back out there. And why we continue to talk about this is because they healthy scratched him. I thought Curbs made an awesome point on TMA earlier today. He's like, look, Jim Montgomery's right. They could have scratched like 5 different people. You wanted them to see scratch. You wanted them to see the Blues scratch Buchnevich. They chose Kyrou for a reason. That's why he is the topic of discussion. Absolutely. And he showed up and he performed the way that they wanted him to.
And now we get to see if he and the Blues can be consistent. The one thing that I have kind of honed in on of this last, 5 games now, here are goals allowed in regulation by the St. Louis Blues over that stretch. 3, 2, 6, outlier there. 3, 3. Oh, excuse me, 0, 3. And then 3 against
about
Vancouver.
That shutout win, huh?
So out of their last 6 games, they've allowed 3 or fewer goals in regulation in 5 of them. That's good enough for you to win.
Yeah.
Now, the offense hasn't always been good enough for them to come out on top, but goal suppression-wise, that's the way this team has to play. Mm-hmm. They are not a good enough team to give up 4, 5, 6, 7 goals regularly and win. It's just not who you are. You're not the Edmonton Oilers, man. You can't overcome that many mistakes defensively. So it is encouraging to see the goaltending has been a little better. And defensively, I think they have, at least structure-wise, for the most part, been better over their last 6 games.
You need your offense to step up right now. The reason that you've suffered so many losses is your offense hasn't stepped up for you. You had bad timing with turnovers and puck management that Jim Montgomery has discussed. And your offense, Pavel Buchnevich still does not have an even strength goal. Robert Thomas, I believe between Thomas, Kyrou, and Buchnevich, they had a total of 13 even strength points so far this season. That's why you're losing. Your best guys aren't finding the back of the net.
Tomorrow's a good night to get that going again.
If they lose tomorrow, man, I am going to be a shell of myself on Wednesday.
Blues back in action tomorrow night against the Calgary Flames. They're terrible. They're 4-11-2 so far this season. They have tried to retool this thing on the fly, kind of the way that the Blues have. It's going worse there than it is here.
They were good for like 2 months last year. Which
you could also
say about another team.
Sound familiar?
Did they fire a coach as well?
Yeah, they did actually. Huh. Well, no, that's not true. They fired him in the offseason and then brought in the coach at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. Do they have a goaltending problem?
They got a lot more. No, actually, their goaltending's been fine. They got a defense and an offensive problem.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Best players not playing well?
That's
Do they have a best player?
That's a loose sentence because I don't really know who their best players are.
Kadri, probably?
Kadri, Huberdeau, which, I mean, we saw what Huberdeau looks like. It's not good.
Oh, my God. Have you seen Mackenzie Weegar's numbers?
Yeah, bad.
Oh.
Yeah, bad.
What are they?
Yeah, that offensive defenseman is not playing a lot of defense, nor is he picking up offense.
So he has 0 goals on the year.
Yeah.
4 points in his 17 games.
Is he worse than Mayhew's minus
my
12?
God.
Minus 16.
Oh.
Now, he's playing
Ouch.
24 and a half minutes a night. So when you're
inflated.
playing for the worst team in the league and you're playing 24 minutes, yeah, it's not going to go well for you, but a minus 16 is pretty rough.
They've scored 36 goals this season. They've played 17 games. That's about 2 goals per game.
Not great. So the Blues back in
So we're
action
losing
tomorrow
tomorrow?
against
If
that
we
team.
lose, I swear, I won't be here Wednesday.
They better find a way to win
If
that
you
one.
don't-
Pass-fail test. I don't care
Yes.
how it looks. Just
Yep.
win the game.
Yep.
That's
That's what
all
I
you
said
gotta
about
do.
Vancouver, and he yelled at me.
No, that one wasn't a pass-fail game.
They
This
were
one's a
missing half their
pass-fail game.
roster.
Coming up in 15 minutes, it seems like
Let's
there's
not argue
one
again.
spot remaining in the playoff. Who's going to take advantage of that? We'll talk about it in 15 minutes. The Junk Drawer next year on 101 ESPN.
Well, if your furnaces weren't on yet, they absolutely are now after the freezing cold weather we had today. And if you flip that furnace on, you know that smell of hasn't been used for a few months. It's like, oh, gosh, I hope my unit's okay. Call Classic Air Care, because with those furnaces turning on right now, annual maintenance is the best way to avoid any breakdowns for units. Maybe you got an older one, 20-plus years old, and you're just hoping it can get you through a couple more years. Or maybe it's a newer one, and you want to make sure that it lasts you as long as you can. All of these are the reasons to be using the company that has been around making people comfortable since 1926. This maintenance agreement, annual maintenance twice a year. They come out, check the unit, clean it, fine-tune it, make sure it gets you through the upcoming season. And then while they're out there, they check it out for you, have the conversations, you set up the appointment in the springtime, and you know you're covered. But if issues pop up, you get priority scheduling because you're a part of that maintenance agreement where they come out and they'll fix whatever issues it is. Typically in about a 24-hour window, they'll get back to you, which is a huge thing for an HVAC system company. 100 vans that are out on the road. They're always available. They'll get to you within 24 hours and open 7 days a week with after-hour techs on call. So call them today, schedule online, get that maintenance agreement if you haven't done so yet before we get into the actual freezing cold consistent weather. Just do me a favor and tell them Alex Ferrario sent you. Classic Air Care and classicaircare.com.
With Alex and T-Bone on BK. T-Bone, what do you have for us today?
Guys, you looking for a new toilet at all to install to your bathroom?
Yeah, downstairs at some point, whenever we do our renovation to the bathroom down there, we will need a new toilet.
What would make somebody say, I need a new toilet? Other than it stopped working.
Yeah, ours is pretty rough. It like has streaks on it, not from like number twos, but from the water running on it, the hard water, and we don't use it very often. We've lived in the house now for like 5 years, and I think we've probably used it like 10 times.
I'm not asking this, Tony. I'm asking, like, doesn't that come out like the streaks on it, or is it like stained on there?
No, it's stained. Yeah.
Yeah, we have that issue at my house.
It's home. A toilet, so I just am like, until it stops breaking, you could use it, and if it looks nasty,
the reason I asked this, and you may not have the finances for this toilet.
Sorry, Tim, but you should put a sign over that says these are not poop streaks; these are streaks from running water.
You may not never use it. You may not want your guests to poop in this toilet. Mets owner Steve Cohen is reportedly auctioning off a gold toilet that he purchased back in 2017, and the bidding's going to start at $10 million.
Why? Is it like a gold toilet?
It is purely a gold toilet.
Wow. Okay, so a gold toilet.
As you can see here.
A gold toilet has to be...
toilet.
That looks like it was spray painted. A gold toilet cannot...
Trump's buying that. That's going to be in the new ball.
We're not getting political.
That's going to be in the new ball.
We just upgraded the bathroom.
There's no way a toilet, even if it's all gold, would cost more than $10 million. What I mean is, like, you can't buy that and then sell it and be like, I'm going to make more than $10 million. You're overpaying for that.
The price of gold's going up, man.
Yeah. If it's $10 million, it better also be like have a seat warmer so I got a nice warm tushy while I'm taking my dump.
Cold gold probably feels like on your butt? Oh, man.
It's probably the same
That's a
like
dumb
when you
purchase.
Get cold water.
Just like that banana art that somebody bought that was duct taped to a wall. This is a dumb purchase, whoever buys it.
I mean, if you have $10 million to buy it, you have FU money to the point where you don't care that it's a bad purchase.
Go spend it on something else, man. There's plenty of other things that are at least useful that's FU money of 10 mil.
Starter when you tour new people around the house, right? Like when you get for new flooring, they're like, oh, I love the flooring. They'll walk by the bed. Wow, I love that it's gold.
You know what my conversation starter is? What idiot bought the $10 million gold toilet?
You know how I know we don't have money? Because we're saying stuff like that.
Even if I had money, I would be like, this is not a proper use of money.
If you've got money to the point where you're willing and able to spend $10 million on the toilet as a conversation starter.
I'll go buy a tiger just to put in my backyard.
Sure. I think that's the kind of stuff, like at a certain point in time,
that's when you're going to get more
much
use
money.
out of.
I have nothing to do with it.
This is dumb.
This is their version of going on Amazon where you like, I don't know if you do this, Alex, but my wife sometimes will just be on like Target and just buy stuff, right? That's their version. This is their Target where they just, I'm going to get a $10 million toilet. Why? Because I can.
There's just so many other things that I could spend $10 million on than a gold toilet that I'm literally going to decrease in the amount of money.
Does it have a bidet?
It doesn't say if it's got a bidet. Again, this thing better have a bunch of features on it, I would think.
No, it looks like a toilet you'd find in a closet somewhere. Yeah. It's actually got the manual handle on it, like at the top.
I hope it's not used. Like it's got the streaks that BK's talking about in it.
Different
streaks.
Steve.
It's water.
Steve.
It's water.
Clean it.
Text line said that's clearly from BK. No, I promise it wasn't me. Somebody else said.
You a big bidet guy?
Never used one before. Somebody else said BK is 100% the reason why the ratio posted that sign in the bathroom.
Yeah, you're the streaker.
I forgot about that.
You're the streaker.
Coming up next, it seems like there's one spot remaining in the playoff. Who's going to get it? We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, it's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Alex, as I was looking at the college football landscape over the weekend, it seemed to me pretty clear following this weekend. It's like one spot remaining for the college football playoff, barring something unforeseen, which is still possible, as we saw this weekend. Washington, the team that kicked T-Bone's Illini's ass, they lost against Wisconsin?
God, your team is bad, T-Bone.
Oh, relax. Mizzou's not winning the game the rest of the way.
But they got a backup quarterback. What's your excuse?
Washington is now 6-3. You can go ahead and eliminate them from playoff contention. And the SEC, every contender won this weekend, including Texas A&M, unfortunately. They kicked my team.
Not everyone.
In the Big 12, there was one really big game this weekend between BYU and Texas Tech. What the Big 12 really wanted was probably for Texas Tech to win, and they got that. So both teams are kind of still alive, but whoever wins in the Big 12 championship game, you would assume they're probably going to get in and the other is out. So let's put a pin in that one here for a second. Virginia and Louisville both lost.
Okay, so we're done with that.
ACC is now a one-bid league. Tulane beat Memphis, which that's just fun for the group of five. I have no idea who's going to make it out of the group of five. Somebody has to get in, so we'll get to that here in a minute. So right now, teams that feel like they're locked in, Alex, for the college football playoff. Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon out of the Big Ten, although Oregon keeps having these very close calls.
It's fine. Make them think you're bad until you get to the playoffs.
Texas A&M, Bama, Georgia, and Ole Miss out of the SEC. One spot's coming from the Big 12. One spot's coming from the ACC. I think Notre Dame will get in. And then there's the group of five. That means there is one spot remaining. It could be the other Big 12 team that I mentioned earlier. Or one of USC, Michigan, Texas, Vandy, or Oklahoma will get in. So there are basically 6 teams for one spot. And if you wanted to, you could go ahead and include Notre Dame into this conversation and say 7 teams for 2 spots remain in the college football playoff. Do you guys agree with that? Is that where we're at, where there's basically like 18 teams plus the group of 5 that are now still eligible for the college football playoff?
Yeah, I think I would lean more towards in your first scenario with Notre Dame being a shoo-in. And maybe that's not fair for me, but if they continue the success down the stretch, I think they're in.
The one thing that throws it off, and T-Bone mentioned this earlier today, they do have to play against Pittsburgh on the road this weekend, and Pitt has been good this year.
Yeah.
So they're a top 25 opponent, so if you wanted to leave that open-ended...
So that sways the decision on that one. So, but I honestly, I think you're right on this, however you want to look at it, and I have no lean on who gets that last spot. I think, honestly, it comes down to put a name in the hat and see what comes out. Strength of schedule-wise, you can nitpick through it. I think the more likely scenario is that Big 12 championship game, and if BYU wins it, then both get in because their resumes would be like, okay, well, they lost to each other. But even at that point, it's so hard to look at Texas and say they're a shoo-in. Oklahoma's hard to look at the same way. This one feels like it's just going to be a matter of the last one that gets in is going to be controversial because the other schools are going to have an argument of why they should have been in.
Oklahoma, to me, is the team that is the easiest to make a case for if they win out. Because if they win out, they will have a win on the road at Alabama. They will have a win on the road at Tennessee. They will have lost by a score against Ole Miss. They will also have a win head-to-head against Michigan, who is one of the teams that we just discussed as still being in contention for the playoff. So even if Michigan were to win out and Oklahoma wins out, Oklahoma has that win head-to-head. I think they would get in over a team like Michigan. So for me, they're the easiest team to make the case for. You could also do it, though, for Texas. Because if Texas were to win out, their 2 losses this year were 1 score against Ohio State, a weird one on the road at Florida, sure. But they will have wins at that point over Oklahoma, Vandy, Georgia, and Texas A&M. That's a hard resume to leave out of the college football playoff. I would also be surprised if they do that. I don't think they're going to beat both Texas A&M and Georgia down the stretch. I think they probably are more likely to lose both of those games than to win both of those games. So the SEC is really interesting down the stretch. Vandy is the team that I think is most likely to win out the rest of the way. I also think they have the least impressive resume of any of these teams that we're talking about.
And I agree with that statement, and that's where I find it interesting with what they do at the Big 12, especially since BYU lost to Texas Tech. Because we'll see if it holds true. They didn't really punish SMU last year in the ACC championship game when they lost to Clemson. They got bumped down a seed, sure. Okay, I'm not sure how much that really matters. They had to go on the road to Happy Valley, I think it was. But I can see a scenario where, because I agree, I don't think Texas is winning out. I don't think Oklahoma is going to win out. I think there's a chance Notre Dame loses this weekend, but I'll for now say that they do. If Vandy wins out the rest of their schedule, they don't have that impressive of a resume. And if you have BYU play Texas Tech in that Big 12 championship game, because those teams hold serve until we get there, and BYU wins it all, are you really going to punish Texas Tech as the loser where they have that one loss that is added to their resume is in the championship game while Vandy got to sit at home and not do anything? I don't know. I think there is still a path to where the Big 12 ends up with two teams in this college football playoff field.
There's no chance Georgia Tech gets in, right?
No, I mean, they could get in if they're the ACC one.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. But you don't think two teams? You don't think two teams come in that one?
No, I'd be shocked if the ACC gets two teams in.
Even
if the Big 12 is the only of those two, the Big 12 is far more likely.
Yeah. Even if they get the win versus, let's say they beat Boston College and Pitt, and then lose to Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech could get in.
But what I'm saying is, if they don't win the ACC, if they still go 11-1, would they still get in?
They couldn't go 11-1 and lose in the ACC.
I got what you're saying.
They would have to go at that point they would have a win potentially if they win out. Let's go under this scenario. They win out, they're 11-1 in the season, and then they lose in the ACC championship game.
Yeah.
Would they then get in over Vandy, for example? That's an interesting case.
Because if they win out, you're beating Pitt and then Georgia. Now, that's a part that's a very unlikely scenario, but I'm just looking at it saying, if the crazy thing happens.
And the win against Georgia would be better than any win that Vandy has on its resume. That may be the thing that does it.
Okay.
That would be the scenario. You would need USC to lose at Oregon, Michigan to lose against Ohio State.
Do you need Notre Dame to lose to Pitt?
No.
Yeah, because if you're only talking about one spot.
Because we're talking about that one spot that's on top of them.
Yeah.
That's
where it gets interesting.
And they probably do need Tech to sweep the Big 12.
To cannibalize itself.
Yeah.
And again, very, very unlikely. I don't see Georgia Tech beating Georgia, but it's looking at it, it's like they're one of the teams that kind of feels like nobody's talking about, and a lot of things have to happen for them to get in.
Vandy's the one that I find to be most interesting. If you get into this scenario, this is like a doomsday scenario for the SEC, where Texas loses against Georgia, boom, eliminate them. Oklahoma loses to Bama, boom, eliminate them. Vandy wins out, and then who's the other team that Texas Tech. Let's say Texas Tech ends up losing to BYU. So those teams have gone 1-1 against one another. And they both have, I guess at that point, 2 losses on the season. That's where it gets to me really interesting. Would Vandy get in over one of those 2 Big 12 teams? Or would they say the resumes for the Big 12 teams are actually better than the resume for Vandy? Because Vandy's best win this season is what? Tennessee?
Yeah.
And at that point, if Vandy beats Tennessee, they might be out of the top 25. So they would potentially have 0 top 25 wins by the end of the regular season, but will have finished 10-2 on the season, had a close loss against Texas. Is that good enough to overcome Texas Tech? I think no. I think Texas Tech would have a better resume. I think BYU would have a better resume at that point in time. And so you actually have the SEC getting left out in favor of maybe it's Georgia Tech or that second ACC team or the Big 12 getting a second team in. And now you just have those 4 other SEC teams that get in. Vandy's the worst case scenario for Mizzou. Can you imagine the possibility? Pavia takes Vanderbilt 10-2. He has crazy games down the stretch, wins the Heisman, and they are left out of the college football playoff in this scenario that we have just presented.
Spicy.
I love that. That's chaos.
And can I be honest? This is why I do not want to expand the playoff to 24, because I think it's arguing on the fences about this that make the playoff discussion so much fun. If we're talking 24, we have to include whoever the 4th best team is in the ACC.
But then we take out the whining and complaining from the people that are like, my team should be in.
Then I'll end up with 7-6 Mizzou and drink. Be like, we belong in the playoff. We didn't beat anybody, but we won 7 games.
Mizzou's still in play if they expanded it.
Yeah, but those teams get weeded out quick, so then you don't have to worry about it. But at least they get in. The 12-team one, just like the 4-team, where you have everybody complaining about why their team should have gotten in. The problem was when it was 4, there were 3 dominant teams, and then everyone else was like, we should be in.
I do like the 12-team playoff for these reasons that you're talking about here, T-Bone. If they do it to where the conference championship weekend is part of the playoff, that's the scenario where I'm fine with it. If you have these conference championships still and then we go into the playoff and you have expanded it, I think you've put too many teams in and now we've gone too far. But if you include the championship weekend, okay, cool, that's fine.
Get rid of it. I don't want I don't even want the championship weekend now.
That's fine.
Because again, like we're just talking about, well, what if like Texas Tech loses in the Big 12 championship game? Should it count against a team that's sitting at home? No, it shouldn't count. So why the bleep are we playing the damn game?
You come
I'm with you on that one. Coming up in 15
Stupid
minutes, we'll give you
NCAA.
our football pick'em reveal for the week. It was a better week than expected for the three of us. We'll let you hear how we did in 15 minutes. Does anybody know what goalie interference is, though? Alex would like to have a word. We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends out at Ted Drew's, a St. Louis tradition since 1929, off of Chippewa, open daily. Now, I know what you're thinking, Alex. It is 30 degrees outside. I don't want Ted Drew's frozen custard. Well, first of all, you say that until you take your first bite, but now is a good time to get out there, even if it is freezing cold outside, because you can buy this in quart size and bring it home with you. And I know you got a lot of holiday parties coming up. I know I do as well. I got birthday parties around the holidays, Thanksgiving, then Christmas. So I get Ted Drew's in bulk. I bring it home. I put it in the freezer. What a surprise to pull out for all of our party goers when we pull out Ted Drew's famous frozen custard. It's perfect no matter what. You get to go out there and you get to have those traditions with family and friends as well. You see people scattered throughout the parking lot off of Chippewa. Mix and match the flavors that you want. It's always fun to kind of get creative with it. I know my daughter loves doing that. While you're there, walk across the parking lot and check out the gift shop and the historical museum, because they've got a ton of memorabilia of St. Louis stuff, Route 66, Ted Drew's historical stuff, on top of stylish apparel, souvenirs, and Ted Drew's gift cards. You can also do so online, teddrewsgiftshop.com. 96 years, 4 generations of family serving St. Louisans that famous frozen custard. Ted Drew's, unmatched quality, unforgettable taste.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. If you missed anything from the show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. It's all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
The reason I mention that right now is because at the beginning of the show today, Alex had quite the rant on goalie interference and the Blues getting, absolutely jobbed by the officials. They should have won that game in regulation. They screwed it up. It was the wrong call. The problem, Alex, is I don't think anybody has a clear understanding of how they're going to call these on any given game. I don't think there's any rhyme or reason to it. And that's not to say, I think we all have a pretty good idea of what the rule is. And I think everybody watching that game understood that is goalie interference by the letter of the law. And yet they didn't call it. And then there were other times where I don't think that's goalie interference. And then they call it. What can be done in order to officiate this more consistently?
Make it black and white. And what I mean by that is...
Isn't the rule pretty black and white as is currently written?
And that's why that is so frustrating of how that game ended. Because there was contact made with the goaltender in the crease. That is clear cut. This is goalie interference. The problem was they didn't call it goalie interference because under the discretion of the officials, they felt as if Joel Hofer could have made that save. Why are we doing that? That's the gray area of this rule. We can't be turning this into, well, the goalie could have made that save even with the contact.
Part of the rule is, did you impede his ability to make the save?
Sure.
That's a part, there's multiple pieces of the criteria. So if they determined that would not be goalie interference by the letter of the law. Is why I disagree with their interpretation of it, though.
This is why you make it black and white.
I think he was impeded.
If you make contact with the goalie in the crease and a goal goes in, it's not a goal.
That's going to happen all the time.
There's
always contact in the crease.
Yes, but what you have to know is if the skates of the player are not touching the blue, then that's not goalie interference. The goalie was impeded, but the player never touched the goalie in his crease. The reason that Jordan never, if you go back to that Vancouver game, that one probably should have stood because Mackenzie McEachran, although he inhibited his ability to stop the play, he was never in the crease. His stick is what touched him. Under the rules of this being black and white, he wasn't in the crease. That's a good goal. But when Jordan Everly's foot was in the crease, making contact with the goaltender, then that's goalie interference every single day.
Yeah. See, this is where I have trouble with it. I think it was clear. I think he did impede his ability to make that save.
Why that the problem with the call was the officials said, well, we believed Hofer could have made that save still. That shouldn't matter. If you think
it should.
Oh, see, I
personally, I like that criteria as part of what needs to be a part of it. It's like in the NFL. I think you should have to finish the catch. I do think that's important. I think it makes it harder to determine what is and is not a catch. But if you get rid of that part of the rule, you'll also open up a Pandora's box where there are other things that take place. And now we have other confusion on different issues with this.
Yeah, see, I don't like that part of it because to sit there and say, unless this is like a former goalie in Toronto that's making that decision, I don't like two officials saying, well, that went bar down. Goalie wasn't going to make that save regardless. Well, how do you know?
That's like in the NFL with pass interference, though. We're was it catchable or not? It's an official's decision, right? We have these officials here to make these calls for this reason. And when you go back to the review, that should be part of the review. Was the goalie able to get his blocker up? Was the goalie able to use his stick? If the answer is no, if there was some issue with that or the player inhibited his ability to move, it should be called. And his ability to move was inhibited in this scenario. So that's where I didn't understand it. I didn't get it. It didn't make sense to me as to why this wasn't called because all of the elements were a part of it. There are some times where I see a catch and I'm like, dude, I have no idea. Whatever they called on the field in the NFL, whatever they called on the field, you just got to stick with it because I don't see enough evidence either way to be able to overturn the call. Yeah. This was not one of those scenarios. To me, this was black and white and it met every piece of the criteria. T-Bone, how do you view this?
Yeah, well, I kind of say, especially on goalie interference, to where I think it is as simple as if there is contact in the crease, you can't rely on an official to just kind of go with the opinion of, okay, was he impeded or not? Because then we're just having to rely on, okay, well, who is in Toronto tonight, right? It just changes every single night, and that's where you lead to this inconsistency. And it's kind of the same with what you're talking about with that pass interference. Was it catchable or not? I view that a little bit differently, but with goalie interference, I think it's as simple as, hey, you make contact with him in the crease. Now, if his stick is out of the crease like you're talking about and there's contact, then yes, you have to look at it. And, I think you have to matter of, okay, who initiated the contact? Because if Hofer is pushing that guy out with the blocker, then, okay, well, Hofer's one who did this to himself.
Or if the player pushes the player into the goalie.
Exactly.
That's also part of this rule.
Well, yeah, that's an easy thing to look at on film and say he was pushed in by the defenseman. There's nothing he could have done for it.
An ability to make the save is very much it changes person by person. Like, we could poll 100 different people, and you probably, now maybe this case is more of a 90-10, yeah, that is goalie interference, but you still have that 10%.
Are you guys good then with having more goalie interference calls? Because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
We all want there to be traffic in front of the net. That's a huge way of how you score goals.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't it used to be like you couldn't even score a goal while
you can't
in the
put
crease?
your foot in the blue paint.
Yeah,
you cannot be in the blue paint. That's what the rule has always been. It's the big conspiracy theory with Brett Hull when he scored the game-winning goal for Dallas when they won the Stanley Cup, because was he in the paint? Was he not in the paint? If your skate is in the blue paint, that's the goalie area. The moment you step into that paint and touch a puck, dead play, goalie interference.
But you can skate through it.
As long as you're not touching the puck.
Correct.
Yes.
And sometimes, a lot of the time, that's how goals are created, is you want your guys going to the front of the net to take away the goalie's eyes, and that's something that the Blues have been really bad at this year. It's what they were excellent at down the stretch a year ago, and it's what made them a really good offensive team. So the reason that I'm bringing this up is because if that is the way that teams are trying to go, that's how you create offense, this makes that more difficult. What you're talking about would change the way that teams have to go about their offense.
See, I don't feel like it makes it that much more difficult, because it actually makes it tougher to score goals, because you could still go in front of the blue paint as long as you're not in the blue paint. Because if you make contact with the goalie, let's say the goalie, you're standing in front of the crease, nothing in the blue paint. The goalie skates forward to try and be aggressive and make the stop. He bumps into the player and then says, well, I was interfered with. No, he wasn't in the blue paint. That's on you. You got to make that save.
Right. But there's going to be scenarios, there are many of them, where and this is why I think the criteria of impeded the ability to make the save is important, because there's a lot of contact with goalies in the NHL. And if we get rid of that aspect of it, anytime there's contact, it's going to be goalie interference.
Yeah, and that's going to be
I think there are some unintended consequences to taking that line out of the rule.
But that should be the part that's easily looked at on video, because was the player in the blue crease, yes or no? If yes, well, then okay, that's goalie interference. If he's not in the crease, well, did he hit the goal? Or if he's out of the crease, did the goalie bump into him? Because if the goalie bumped into him and he's not in the blue paint, that's not goalie interference. Sure. But was he also pushed into the goaltender? Because if he was in the blue paint, but the defenseman pushed him in. See, all of these I feel like is a lot easier to look at on tape and say, okay, cleared, good goal. The problem is right now, you've got Toronto looking at it, and then I don't know this to be a fact. I'm just going off of what Andy Strickland reported. Toronto's probably like, 50-50 call, go with what you felt. And then the officials are saying, well, he couldn't have made that save. Man, you don't know how that puck bounces. You don't know if that puck bounces off of somebody and then goes high and hits the goaltender if he gets his glove up. That's the part that you can't have in these rules. There are going to be fans pissed off regardless if you make this black and white. There's going to be a lot of times that you're like, that wasn't goalie interference. But you know what? It's black and white to the point that an official, anybody in Toronto can say, the goalie was touched, though, in the blue paint. It's a dead goal. Don't care what you say. You can't leave this, and I've seen so many people still saying, get over it, Alex. They should have won the game elsewhere. They should have.
Yeah, correct.
But the problem with this is, and I don't know what the end of the season looks like, you missed the playoffs by 1 point. You go back to that game and say they got screwed out of a point. You can't impact games this way with a call that you don't even know how to call.
Yeah, I think they need to relook at this. I don't know what the specific answers are to it, but it needs, in some way, shape, or form, they need to get to a place where fans can watch these games and we don't all throw up our hands in confusion.
Or throw our remotes at our television, right, John?
Every time that we see a potential goalie interference call.
Yeah, well,
and it's really difficult to officiate. I thought this one was pretty easy, but they still found a way, in my opinion, to screw it up.
Good news is they're in the GM meetings this week. All the GMs are in Toronto, so hopefully they'll bring this to the table. My guess is if Doug Armstrong's in the building, he'll have something to add to the table for everybody.
Coming up next, our pick 'em reveal here on BK and Ferrario.
Tanner Hendrickson here, the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Blues will be back in action tomorrow night when they host the Calgary Flames. We'll have pregame coverage tomorrow starting at 6 o'clock with Alex Ferrario. Then puck drop at 7 o'clock with Chris Carver and Joey Vitale. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
All right, it's time for our football pick and reveal. If you're new to the show, the way we do this every Friday, we will take 3 games against the spread. We rank them on a scale of 1 to 3. So there's 6 potential points available for us each and every weekend. And at the end of the month, one of us is going to get punished. And at the end of the year, one of us has a full season-long punishment as well. So far, Alex has been fantastic this season. T-Bone and I, a little less great. But the first week of this month, T-Bone and I were better than Alex Ferrario. So we begin today with Tanner's 1-point play.
Wisconsin sucks. They've lost 6 games this year, and their losses this season, their average losses by 23 points, and somehow Washington is only a 10.5-point favorite on the road at Wisconsin. They've had some weird struggles when they go on the road, but at this point, Wisconsin's so bad. Even if you get off to a slow start, they should be able to right the ship. So give me Washington minus 10.5 at the Wisconsin Badgers.
And now the 4th quarterback to play this season for the Badgers is the first quarterback in league play to take a knee as the crowd does the unthinkable and rushes the field.
On Wisconsin, for Wisconsin, winners once again.
Felt like a little bit of a dramatic finish there for play-by-play. But, T-Bone, I think I know what happened here. You saw Washington play so well against your team, and you're like, damn, that team's good. They couldn't possibly lose or even keep this thing close against Wisconsin on the road. And then you go back, and it's like, they've had some struggles on the road so far this year. They struggled on the road at Maryland. They lost against Michigan, and their offense never showed up in that game. And that's what happened here. The offense just never showed up.
Yeah, and the funny thing is like I knew their struggles on the road, and it nearly scared me away because my other play was going to be New England, take them on plus the points against the Bucs. It's like, no, surely Washington like really beat the crap out of Wisconsin. No. The leading passer for Wisconsin was a freaking punter.
One thing stands true. When you're that confident on a game, it's going to bite you in the rear end.
Next one up is your 2-point play, which I agreed with.
For my 2-point play, guys, put a fork in the home team because their season is done. That would be the Missouri Tigers. I like A&M on the road this weekend, minus 6.5 points. Look, I really like that Missouri defense, and I think they are going to be the reason that this game, it feels close early on. A&M's going to get their share. I think they easily will win this by a touchdown or more, especially going up against the true freshman quarterback.
I, this week, will be picking with my head over my heart. The Texas A&M Aggies are going to come to Columbia this weekend, and they are going to make Matt Zollers look like a true freshman quarterback. I think Texas A&M wins this game by more than a touchdown.
Owens breaks free. Hey, Ruben, put a nail in it here at Mizzou. A 57-yard touchdown run.
You and I called that to a T.
I didn't love it, but I was shocked by how many people were taking Mizzou in that game. Shocked by it. It didn't make any sense to me. So, yeah, I got my 3-point play. You got your 2-point play. We basically said exactly how that game was going to go.
Yeah. I felt really confident in that one. And the only reason that one was my 2-point play, I feel a little better about this one as my 3-point play. Guys, Sammy Hagar had a song that said, "Where Eagles fly, they don't fly in Boston, Massachusetts." Boston College is awful. Yeah, they kind of were able to hang around a little bit for Notre Dame. They're terrible. SMU's coming into town. The Mustangs, minus 11.5. They are going to bulldoze their way through.
Trying to do here with him. Falling. He breaks free. He's going to score. No one's going to catch 0. 48 yards. The big play parade continues for the Mustangs.
Yeah, that was never close.
Yeah, no, that one was over quick.
I was going to be really upset because all morning long I had been flipping Missouri and SMU between 3 and 2, and I was going to be really upset if SMU did not cover, but Boston College is awful.
Yeah, they showed up. 45-13. It was never close. T-Bone ends up with 5 points on the week. A really good showing by you, T-Bone.
Could have been
8
6.
points through the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I am
nice
back.
start for T-Bone in the month of November. November
Princess Leia
is the month for those that want to be remembered.
Well, I've gone through 2 of them that don't work, so finally found one that does work.
All right, let's get to my plays for this week. I already gave you my 3-point play. Mizzou lost, and I had Texas A&M minus the 6.5 points. My 1-point play was also on the college football side of things.
I picked Oregon to cover the spread against those Wisconsin Badgers. I'm probably overreacting to this, but in a reaction to that game, I am now going to pick Iowa to cover the spread against Oregon this weekend. Iowa is a 6.5-point home underdog in this game. They lost only by 5 at home earlier this season against Indiana. They played Indiana better than anybody else has so far this season.
39 yards for the win. Up and good. He got it. With 3 seconds left, it looks like Oregon is going to leave Iowa City with a huge victory.
Iowa is the best team that nobody wants to watch.
Yep.
For good reason. That team is horrific to watch. But man, are they a good football team. They're physical. They play great defense. They have a decent running game. And it is miserable for 60 minutes to go up against them. It's almost like playing a service academy where you're just hoping to escape with a victory. Indiana had their difficulties playing against them this weekend. Oregon was lucky as hell to escape with a victory. And if they didn't, by the way, Iowa would be in contention for the college football playoff.
When Iowa scored that touchdown late to take the lead, I was texting you guys. Oregon has to come back in this game. I cannot watch Iowa football in the playoffs.
Oregon is a team that I just don't trust anymore.
I'm not sure they're that good.
Their quarterback seems a little iffy for me. I just don't trust that team at all moving forward.
They're a team that I think is good, but they're incredibly flawed.
They're nowhere near the other teams in the Big Ten.
And I will be curious to see what their first-round matchup looks like in the playoff. That might be a team that I try to bet against.
I'll tell you now, I'll bet now they lose to Washington.
They might.
Because Washington's good when they're at home.
Is this you just trying to make it like, hey, Washington kicked the crap out of my team, but they did lose a game that they shouldn't have lost. They'll win.
He's going to overcompensate again.
You're just trying to make it to where Illinois season isn't that bad.
All right, so I got my 3-point play. I got my 1-point play. Let's see if I can sandwich it together with my 2-point play.
T-Bone's Rams are a very good football team. I like them a lot. They seem to have some issues at times with the 49ers, though. These games are almost always close. Last year, the 2 games were decided by 6 and 3. The year prior, 1 and 7. I believe that this spread is a little too big. I think it's going to be a 3-point game one way or the other. Give me the 49ers as the home team plus the 4.5 points against the Rams.
Play action, man. Wide open is Colby Parkinson. He walks in. It's another Rams score.
Did you forget that everybody's hurt on the 49ers?
So the defense was the problem. And yes, I underestimated how much that was going to matter. Mac Jones played great in that game. You couldn't have asked for much more out of him.
George Kittle was awesome.
The problem was they had no running game, and they couldn't stop the Rams. At no point in time were they able to get any kind of consistent stops. The drive chart for the Rams, this is just like early on. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. Punt, punt. Touchdown, 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 end of game. Like, I mean, you can't just stop.
What am I supposed to do with this one? No, what am I supposed to do with this one?
So, yeah, I was on the wrong side of that one. There's no doubt about it. I thought they would be able to keep that one close. It was one too many weeks of going back to the 49ers well, and the Rams are one of the best teams in the NFL right now. Yep. So, full credit to them. I get my 4 points this week. I'll take that home and feel good about it. Alex, let's get to your plays. Let's start out with your 1 point, which was last night.
Taking Steelers +3 on the road against the Chargers. I think Pittsburgh's feeling pretty good about themselves after that win against the Colts. The Chargers are already down another tackle as Joe Alt, I think, left that last game. He's not coming back. So right now feels like it's where the Steelers maybe put some on a little bit.
First and goal for the 2. It is Vidal to the left into the end zone. Touchdown, Chargers.
I'll take that L because I'm more glad that I didn't listen to T-Bone and make the Steelers my survivor pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what T-Bone didn't put in that highlight was, well, I feel good about the Steelers. Make that your survivor play.
Hey, I was right that was a Steelers home game.
I really liked the Steelers last night. I mean, they couldn't have been more wrong. I loved them, though.
I'm done with the Steelers.
Agreed.
Rodgers looks broke. Rodgers is that guy that gives you 5 really good games. You're like, oh, man, he found it. And then the rest of the season, it's like, nope, Grandpa went to sleep.
They're the typical Mike Tomlin team. They'll, win 9 games. None of us think
But they're not, though. Their defense is awful. And their defense is always good. Like, they're just non-existent in competitions.
All right, let's get to his 2-point play.
2-point play for me. 7.5 spread. I'm taking the Detroit Lions on the road against Washington. Minus 7.5 seems like a lot, but they don't have Jaden Daniels. Their defense has been awful. Lions are coming off of a bad loss to the Vikings. I think Detroit is going to put it on Washington in this one.
From the Washington 14 on first down. Goff, Williams. He's been the main target during this series, and he is in for a Lions touchdown. Jamison Williams.
Yeah, that one was done at halftime.
Dan Campbell took over the play calling duties, and they immediately put it on to the Commanders.
Yeah, that felt good.
Jamison Williams suddenly, by the way, has reemerged as a significant part of this Lions offense, and it looks different when he looks like that.
Conspiracy tinfoil theory here. I just think that Dan Campbell was pissed at the previous week when, Jahmyr Gibbs didn't touch the football. Jamison Williams has been in and out of games. Now it's like, I need to start using my weapons the right way, and he did so.
All right, let's get to your 3-point play, which is one of the best teams in the NFL right now.
I am taking the Seahawks minus 6.5 at home against the Cardinals.
I seriously considered.
Now, I know Kyler's not playing. They're going with Brissett, who's been good for them. But Seattle right now, they made their moves at the deadline. They upgraded on offense. I think this is the game that Seattle goes out there and pours it on.
With Ernest Jones out, 3rd down, 11. Here comes Knight, knocked away again. Loose. Here comes Lawrence. Holy smokes! Another touchdown by the same guy.
What a call. I love holy smokes.
It's probably not great when their defense scores 2 touchdowns against you, and that's what happened in this game for the Seahawks. The Seahawks go to 7-2 on the season, win 44-22 in a game where Sam Darnold attempted 12 passes. 12. They put up 44 points, attempted 12 passes.
The good news for the Cardinals is they can go back to their number 1 quarterback.
Yeah, he's done for the year. I saw a column today that apparently he might be considering going back to baseball.
COD's coming out soon, so we'll get after that.
Alex gets 5 points as well. Good week by you. Good week by us overall. Out of a potential 18 points, we had 14 with our 3 picks this week against the spread. Alex is now up to 6 points on the month. I am also at 6 points. T-Bone leads the way with 8 points after the first 2 weeks. On the season, Alex is up to 40. T-Bone is at 30. I'm bringing up the rear. Who could have seen this one coming? With 27 points so far this month. We'll give you our 3 plays going into this upcoming weekend. We got 2 more weeks left here in the month of November. For Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. The Rewind coming up next here on 101 ESPN. Hey, it's BK, and for this holiday season, it is time for you to unlock your inner champion. There's one place to do so at VictoryMen'sHealth.com. Check them out today, and you can book that first appointment. It's an incredibly easy process. Put in your name, email, phone number, tell them BK with 101 ESPN sent you, and then tell them what it means for you to unlock your inner champion. Now, maybe you're thinking to yourself, BK, I don't even know what that means. Where do I begin? Well, over on their website, VictoryMen'sHealth.com, you can read about all of the different things that they have to offer, whether it's erectile dysfunction issues that you're dealing with, weight loss goals that you're trying to meet, low testosterone symptoms that you're feeling right now. They can help you out with that. They also have vitamin infusions, a supplement shop, red light therapy, cardiovascular testing. I went over there to get my micronutrient lab to find out, all right, where am I deficient? What can I be better at? And what would help me get to the best version of myself? They can do that for you as well. They will unlock your inner champion at Victory Men's Health. 4 great locations across the St. Louis area. Find out more today online at VictoryMen'sHealth.com. That's VictoryMen'sHealth.com. If you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101ESPN app is where you go to find it. That is always sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
Tonight, you've got the Packers versus the Eagles. Who do you guys have in that one tonight?
I got the Eagles.
I've got the Eagles as well.
I'm going Packers. I think they bounce back after an ugly game against
Monday Night
Carolina.
Football, so they might play well.
It'll be a fun one. They're not playing on Sunday, which means they're eligible to look good for the first time in a while. Packers versus the Eagles. You'll be able to hear that right here on 101 ESPN with pregame starting at 6 o'clock. By the way, each week the Fast Lane and the Riz Show are battling it out in the Pick'em Challenge. Sometimes they come together, just hang out, watch some football. You can join Marshy and Moon from the Riz Show this Thursday from 6:30 to 8:30 at Hot Shots in Arnold. Come out, watch Thursday Night Football, get signed up for some Point and 101 ESPN giveaways, and enjoy a cold Bud Light. That's Thursday from 6:30 to 8:30 with Marshy, Moon, and Bud Light at Hot Shots in Arnold. Before we get out of here today on the show, Alex, Blues back in action tomorrow. Are you feeling better after what we saw from them this weekend, despite the loss, obviously?
Yes and no. I mean, I think they played a really good defensive game. They made a couple of mistakes, not putting the puck in the back of the net. What I don't feel good about is that's a game that you completely break a team's confidence. Felt like they were getting it back, lose in that fashion. I don't know if they're mentally strong enough to just move on to the next game. We'll find out because they take on, it's the right time to take on the Calgary Flames if you're the Blues. It's the slump buster.
We had plenty of time today to talk about the Missouri Tigers from this weekend. If you missed it, check it out on the podcast page. It wasn't good. It looked exactly like you'd expect a freshman quarterback to look against a top 3 opponent. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. We will certainly hear from you guys. We'll also preview T-Bone. Your line, I have a big matchup tomorrow against Texas Tech, so we'll talk some college hoops tomorrow. Support the Countdown to Thanksgiving campaign to benefit Operation Food Search, hosted by Lee's Famous Chicken Recipe, Hot Shot Sports Bar, and Coca-Cola and 101 ESPN. Drop off a non-perishable food item donation at any area Lee's or Hot Shot location now through next Friday, November the 21st. Every donation earns you a free Coca-Cola beverage. All food collected will go towards Operation Food Search to help local families in need. Each donor can also get entered to win a prize package that includes gift cards to Lee's, Hot Shots, and hockey tickets. All the details at 101ESPN.com. For Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. The Fast Lane is next.